funky bus fare. There's a double Dutch bus coming down the street, moving dirty fast, so kinda shuffle your feet. Get on the bus, pay your fare, then tell the driver that you're going to a double Dutch affair. Well, I'll be darned. Here it comes. The double Dutch bus is on the street. You better get off the curb, move your bus fare, transfers. That's the way my money lasts. Ain't got no car to get around. When I go to work, I gotta go downtown. Now I miss my train. That's a dollar shame. When I'm running late, no sleeps to blame. If you got a way, you know I'm right. You got a special van, well, I can understand. Uptown, downtown, everybody's getting down. Say uptown, say downtown. Well, I miss my bus. I know I'm late. I gotta do something. I know I hate. I'm gonna walk to work. 15 bucks. I already got a hole in the fox. Go ahead and land. That's okay. Of course, what I really wanna say, I got bad feet. My corns hurt. Stop it all. I'm late for work. Let me tell you what I see when I'm dealing with a funky sidewalk. Let me show you how I walk when I gotta do my funky walk. Let me tell you what I see when I'm dealing with a funky sidewalk. I say, sugar.
Is that jizzle? Yes, I is that the mizzle? Is that the whiz? They sizzle, the kids out and kids, they biz ass bizzle. Yes, all biz out the mizzle. Chills, gills, wheels out, nils out, bills, baby.
Bill's Arbor, Bill's Harry, Bill's Eddie, Bill's Sam, Till Zombie, Bill's Aaron, Bill's Zombie, that's my man. Come on, get on my double Dutch bus.
My double Dutch bus. You said the Braves was gonna win last night.
Oh, shut up. Happy November, everybody. Yes, you can't stop the chop. I'm not a fair weather fan, And I'm telling you, the Braves are going to win it all. It's just their year. Hope you had a great Halloween. Happy November. And gonna say something to you now. I ran out of time yesterday because I wanted to watch the Braves game. And so I did all this work. I pulled all this Halloween stuff. So although Halloween is over, I'm just going to briefly talk about some famous people that were born on Halloween. But I got a personal vent. Anybody out there ever sell anything on eBay? Well, I had a weird experience. I'm trying to buy a major comic book for my collection. And so things I have duplicate copies of, I'm going to eliminate so I can put it in a pool for some funds to make this purchase. Well, this guy won my auction earlier in October last month, didn't pay. And so I canceled the order. So I got my eBay seller fees refunded. And they said, just relist it, which I did. Well, the person that won it Friday night also didn't pay. It got to be beyond 24 hours. You're supposed to pay within 2 days. So I went to send them an invoice, and I noticed it's the same address and the same name as the first person that stiffed me, but 2 different eBay identities. So I contacted eBay, got them on the phone, and they said they confirmed with me, yep, that's the same email address and the same physical address. And then the dude paid. But what pisses me off is the second time around, it sold for $400 less than the first time. So this jackass stiffed me for $400. But what are you going to do? I'm just going to probably cancel that order and just relist the whole thing. But anyway, I didn't get a single trick-or-treater last night, or on Halloween, I should say. Did you? But I still had a good one. Hope you did too. Of course, the Halloween parties are pretty much all month long. But I tell you what, I noticed I haven't had a single drink during the World Series or Halloween, and I'm no teetotaler, and I'm not against drinking. I just been pigging out. Haven't had a single drink. God, I don't know how long it's been. It's been at least 2 weeks since I've had a drink. Let's get started with some birthdays. And by the way, I did this entire show after the World Series game started after midnight. I did the second portion of the Podblast I'd prepared for. And then when I was trying to turn the lights on, as you see, if you're watching on the YouTube channel, The Nostalgic Podblast, or in the Facebook group, The Nostalgic Podblast, you'll see a pumpkin that's lit up. And I turned out the lights for effect so you could see the candle inside the jack-o'-lantern. It just looks kind of cool. Well, and I wanted to show something for the camera, the Nostalgic Snack of the Week. I accidentally cut the power. And so I didn't lose the whole show, but it cut the audio and just right at the end. So I'm going to start all over again at a decent hour this time, as we're live now. So I'm going to pick up where I left off in part 1 of Halloween. And when I get done with Halloween, we're going to talk about some November stuff and the Nostalgic Toy of the Week. I have a game, the candy bar. It's candy taglines. Actually, I did candy bar, like chocolate bars last time. This is other kinds of candy, like sweet tarts and stuff like that. I'll name the tagline and see if you can name the candy. But I've pulled a lot of good clips and some audio. So I guess we'll get started with the birthdays. And ironically enough, this guy who we lost back in 1994, he's a great comedic actor. And he was on Second City TV. Ironically, his name is John Candy. Candy. And he was born on Halloween back on October 31st. So John Franklin Candy, born Tuesday, October 31st, 1950, in Newmarket, Ontario, Canada, was a guy who rose to fame in the 1970s as a member of the Toronto branch of the Second City and its Second City Television, or SCTV for short, series. And they had a branch in Chicago as well as up there in Canada. And through his appearances in comedy films, including Stripes, National Lampoon's Vacation, Splash, which is directed by Ron Howard, Cool Runnings, Summer Rental, The Great Outdoors, Spaceballs, and Uncle Buck, as well as dramatic roles like Only the Lonely and JFK, he became beloved in the eyes of the public. And one of his most renowned on-screen performances was as a character named Del Griffith, the talkative shower curtain ring salesman in the John Hughes comedy film Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And I forget that John Hughes did that. You know, I think of Weird Science and, 16 Candles and Pretty in Pink. And, I didn't really care for Breakfast Club. I know I'm in the minority on that. It's like considered a cult classic. But even when it was new, something about it. I don't know. I didn't like Judd Hirsch and all that. And I know that doesn't jive with most of you out there. because it certainly is a classic. I love the soundtrack though, but I don't know that whole deal with them being in detention. I just although I got in a lot of trouble in school, I should have related to it because I was a hellion in middle school and high school, always getting in trouble. But in addition to his work as an actor, did you know that John Candy was also a co-owner of the Toronto Argonauts, the Canadian football team in the Canadian Football League, the CFL. And his team won the 1991 Grey Cup under his ownership. John Candy, as I said, died in 1994 at the age of 43. His final two film appearances were in a movie called Wagons East and in another movie, Canadian Bacon. And those are both dedicated to his memory. I want to play a quick clip to the opening of SCTV. This is the syndicated rerun version that you saw on Nick at Night and then later on Comedy Central. I first discovered SCTV on Nick at Night back in the late 80s. I was a little too young to watch it when it was on Friday nights on NBC for years. But I liked it better than Saturday Night Live, and it was more satire. You know, it was taped bits. But, man, the talent in that cast. I'm going to play the opening. You can hear some of these great talents when you hear the credits. It's really brief. Let me play this right here. SCTV, where are you? Here it is right here.
Tired of ordinary television? Don't touch that dial. SCTV is now on the air. Starring John Candy, Joe Flaherty, Eugene Levy, Andrea Martin, Rick Moranis, Catherine O'Hara, and Dave Thomas. Television like you've never seen it before. This is the SCTV Television Network.
Bill Murray was on there briefly. It just had an immense amount of talent, and it was a really funny show. Next clip I want to play pertaining to John Candy. This is an appearance of John Candy and Joe Flaherty, and Joe was on SCTV, on the fourth night of Late Night with David Letterman from February 4th, 1982. And it's not really laugh out loud funny, but I think it's interesting, in my opinion. Let me play that. It's right here. Boom.
Thank you. This is only our fourth night on the air, and I guess by now everybody in the country knows that we have one of these. But they say, what else do you have back there, Dave? Well, we also have one of these. So... Okay, my next guest, it'll turn off in just a minute. I think that answers the question, why don't other talk shows have one of those? Well, drive safely. Thanks for watching. Good night. Second City TV is a comedy show which emanates in Toronto, Canada, and for a while it was being done out of Edmonton, Canada, I believe. It's a terrific show, and it's on every Friday evening at 12:30 here at NBC, and perhaps one of the fastest, most, well, I'm lost here. Let me just start over. Quickly becoming one of the most popular comedy programs on the air without a siren. The magic of SCTV is attributed to the fine writing and performing. That's certainly the truth. Two of those folks are with us tonight, John Candy and Joe Flaherty. Nice of you gentlemen to be here. I'm desperately sorry that I botched your introduction. What I was trying to say is this is a show that I have been a big fan of for a long, long time before it moved to NBC. And the little remark there in the opening about it being a perfect match of great writing and great performing, I think is the hallmark of that show. And you folks should be congratulated on that. Tell us about yourselves, eh? As they say. Joe, you are from originally not Canada, somewhere else, or
Yeah,
from
Pittsburgh.
Canada?
I'm from Pittsburgh, PA, and
That's it? Come on, Pittsburgh.
How did you get involved with the Canadians from Pittsburgh?
well, I went up to Canada to work with the theater company, the SCTV. No, it was Second City, Second City Cabaret, and we wanted to open a theater up there, so we went up and cast some people, very good people up there. I was surprised to see the talent just sort of floating around in Toronto. Matter of fact, Paul Schaefer, your musical director, was up there at the time doing Godspell.
Hey, Paul, how are you?
Yes.
See you again.
Shut up.
And
We cast John and Eugene Levy and let's see who else was up there at the time. Gilda Radner and Danny Aykroyd. They were in the original stage show.
Yeah.
So from there it was.
what is SCTV or Second City? What is that for people who may not really know what the organization is out of Chicago?
Want me to say it?
Sure, John. Why don't you try one of these?
Oh, okay, that's a tough one, though. Second City started in Chicago in 1959. It was originally came out of the University of Chicago when it was the West Compass Players. It was the University of Chicago didn't have a theater department, and they created their own. They being Elaine May, Mike Nichols, Severin Darden, Del Close, Bernie Solins, Sheldon Patinkin. There was a lot of people who I think Ed Asner was part of that. Shelley Berman,
Harry Truman.
Harry Truman was part of that.
He had great stuff.
A lot. Oh, he was funny. The blackouts he came up with. Oh. Little known fact about him: the group scenes that he did, were very risque at the time.
Is that right?
He was very, very, very funny man.
What was what's the
Learned a lot from him.
what was in fact, some said that you were the next Harry Truman for a while.
Yes, they did for a long time, and there's been a curse on my back.
Yeah.
I've been trying to change that. But damn it, you can't sometimes.
No, I know.
People won't get off, you know?
What does Second City refer to? What does that mean? Second City. What?
It was an article, I think, in the New York Times, wasn't it? There were
New Yorker magazine.
New Yorker magazine saying Chicago was second to New York in everything, in every way. Which I don't know if everyone believes that or not.
Chicago's a fine town.
It is.
Toronto is a fine town also, where
Yes.
you guys are now doing the show.
Pittsburgh's a fine town.
Pittsburgh is all right too.
Didn't get a huge response.
What about Monterey?
Beautiful place.
Now, when you were
Queensville, another place where I'm from.
doing Queensville, and this is in Ontario,
Yeah.
outside of Toronto.
Yeah.
Tell me about doing the show from.
No one?
No one from Queensville? Tell me about doing the show from Edmonton. Is this
Well,
what the last cycle of shows came out of there?
Yeah, we're notorious for selling out to the lowest bidder, We ended up there.
Now, how does that happen? This is a major network television extravaganza, and they're doing it in Edmonton, a city of how big?
Oh, geez, it's 800,000 people now.
Well,
It's growing every day. It's a big city. It's boomtown.
Edmonton.
while we look up the exact population of Edmonton, we're going to take a break. We'll be back with John Candy and Joe Flaherty. Thank you. Paul Schaefer. Welcome back to the show. Joe Flaherty, John Candy are here, and we were just, SCTV was the last season of shows produced in Edmonton.
Yeah.
Now, again, that's not really Los Angeles or New York or any of the cities that we mentioned. How did it end up there, and what was it like doing it there? Either one of you guys.
One of the owners of the show. Our show is like the movie The Producers.
Kind of a tax deal?
A number of stuff. All right, I'm being bitter. Didn't come through with that per diem. I can say that now. My lawyers talk to me. I'm clear. One of the owners, Dr. Allard, owns a TV studio in Edmonton, and as a result, that's where we did the show. It was his studio. That's where we worked.
Yeah. Was it a nice, enormous complex?
Not an enormous complex.
It's
nice.
very small, tiny little place. The staff and crew there were great, and the director there, John Blanchard, incidentally, who shoots all of our stuff. He's really good.
The show looks terrific. You would not guess that it comes out of anything less than a first-rate
The
operation.
city takes a bad rap, but it's a real nice city, and there's good people there.
Yeah.
Everybody was working real hard on the show.
Any problems with doing a show out of Edmonton?
Getting people there.
Yeah.
We were begging a lot of people.
Yeah.
That's true.
The technology in Edmonton is okay?
Well, for the yes, it's a very modern city. It's a boomtown. It's just sprung up. There's oil there, you know. So
They got color TV last year. That was real nice.
What about the control room? Did you ever have any trouble with the...
With the control room? Jeez, no, not really. You know, there was some... was that on one of those?
I don't know.
The control room.
We copied these and distributed them to the audience and our guests, and there was... you never had trouble with hockey coverage?
On Wednesdays, yeah.
There you
on Wednesdays. Go. You should have just said hockey.
Hockey was the
I know that
word,
was my cue, hockey.
Okay.
It's the Edmonton Oilers. Our crew would leave on Wednesdays to cover their game.
Oh, yeah.
So we'd just kind of hang around. And we'd wait till they got back, and then we'd shoot somewhere.
Okay.
I love your show.
We're going to take a look at some videotape of, I guess this would be a night when the control room was there, huh?
I hope so.
This, what, you want to tell us what we're going to see, Joe?
Oh, yeah, this is a Thursday night, so this was fine. We did a Godfather parody, and
This is terrific, by the way.
I'll back you up on
John
this,
will back me up on this, because he's a beautiful, beautiful
Thank you
human
so
being.
much, Joe.
We did
Seriously.
a parody of The Godfather. I was Guy Caballero and the president of the imaginary station, SCTV. And my personal life was somewhat like The Godfather. Now, in the movie, there was a scene with Al Martino and Marlon Brando. Brando was the Godfather, and Martino was his godson. And we did a takeoff on that. I was playing the Brando part. John was playing my godson, but he was Johnny Pavarotti, Luciano Pavarotti type. So, and this is that scene between the two of them when he's asking him for
I need a favor.
A favor.
Okay. So this is what we're going to see. This was on SCTV recently.
Yeah.
John Candy, Joe Flair.
Caballero, this part in this war opera is perfect for me. But this conductor, Larry Bernstein, he don't like me. He say the part is no good for me. I'll never get the part. Don Caballero, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do, Don Caballero? What am I going to do? You can act like a man, that's what you can do. Now, you leave this to me, and within a month, I promise you, you'll have that part. Well, a month is no good. They start rehearsals at the Met on Monday.
He's just shoving all this butter in his mouth. It's disgusting.
I'll send him to New York. He'll talk to this Leonard Bernstein fella.
Well, this Bernstein, he's a tough guy. He won't listen to anybody, you know.
Yes, he will. I'm going to make him an offer that I think will be to his liking.
Don Caballero, I don't know how to thank you. If ever there's anything you want me to do for you, just don't hesitate to ask me.
Well, you can start by offering me some of that provolone.
No way.
Come on, give me a little bite of that.
No, come on, share that.
Very nice. Very nice, gentlemen. We're going to pause here. We'll be back in a couple of minutes to talk some more with John Candy and Joe Flaherty.
Yeah, it's a bit of a visual clip, but you catch the drift on that. We lost John Candy at age 43 on Friday, March 4th, 1994 in Mexico of a heart attack. And John Candy did have a number of risk factors for having a heart attack, including a strong family history. His father died prematurely of a heart attack. Although his kids say that he wasn't aware of that genetic risk. He smoked a pack of cigarettes a day, drank alcohol heavily, and occasional use of cocaine. He was such a talented and kind man by all accounts, and John Candy's funeral was held at St. Martin of Tours Catholic Church in Los Angeles, California. John Candy rests at the Holy Cross Cemetery in Culver City, California, USA. Rest in peace. Another big Halloween birthday, the current University of Alabama football coach and former football defensive back player Nick Saban turned 70 on Halloween Day in 2021. He was born in Fairmont, West Virginia on Wednesday, October 31st, 1951. And get this, he earns $9.3 million per year. And a lot of people would say he's worth every penny for all those championships he delivered for the Crimson Tide. But I'll say this, go Dogs 2021! Happy heavenly Halloween birthday to actor, writer, singer, yes, I said singer, and director Michael Landon. Michael Landon was born with the birth name of Eugene Maurice Orowitz. That's Eugene Maurice Orowitz on Halloween Day, back on Saturday, October 31st, 1936, in Forest Hills, Queens, New York. Being a Halloween baby, it's kind of fitting that Michael Landon starred in I Was a Teenage Werewolf for Universal Pictures back in 1957. Let's listen to a couple clips from that classic movie that he was ashamed to be in. He said in several interviews that he was ashamed of that movie. Let's see here.
Help me, doctor, please! I know they're going to kiss me, but don't let anyone see me like that. Please, doctor, help me!
Michael Landon in a powerful performance as the boy possessed. Yvonne Lyne, appealing as the girl who loves him. Whit Bissell, unforgettable as the scientist maddened by the mystery of the werewolf. And Tony Marshall, a tough, friendly enemy.
These the official pictures?
Yes, Chief.
Slash on either side of the throat. You got any theories?
Fangs.
He was killed by a werewolf.
Panic penetrates every home when this strange, unknown killer hits town, taking hold of the teenage crowd, coloring their practical jokes with hysterical humor that'll make you fall flat on your face with horror.
No. Remember how wonderful it was when you sprang and suddenly dug in with your fangs, a soft throat, the gush of warm blood?
No! No! Nothing you've ever seen has such blood-chilling savagery. Nothing you've ever conceived packs such a spine-tingling jolt. This high school boy, a teenage werewolf. A constant threat of claw-ripping attack to everyone, to the brave and the beautiful.
Good scream. I Was a Teenage Werewolf from Universal Pictures. Also in 1957, Candlelight Records released a Michael Landon single titled Gimme a Little Kiss, Will Ya, Huh? With the B-side song titled Be Patient With Me, during the height of his notoriety for his role in the film I Was a Teenage Werewolf. And some copies show the artist credited as the, quote, teenage werewolf, unquote, rather than as Michael Landon. In 1962, both the A and B side of the 45 record were re-released on the Phonograph record label that included a picture sleeve of Landon's then current role on Bonanza as Little Joe Cartwright. In 1964, RCA Victor Records released another Landon single titled Linda is Lonesome, and then the B-side song was titled Without You. All of Landon's singles have since been issued on compact disc, what's that, by Bear Family Records as part of a Bonanza Various Artists compilation. So a couple years after I Was a Teenage Werewolf, Landon started acting in Bonanza, and he was only 22 years old at the time when he landed the role of Little Joe. And I love the rousing theme song. Let's listen to some of that real quick. And then I want to play a little bit of the theme sung by the series star, Lauren Green. But here's the classic instrumental version. Theme. So Bonanza began on NBC on Saturday, September 12th, 1959 at 7:30 p.m. And at the start of season 3, the show was moved to Sunday night at 9 p.m. from September 1961 all the way until September 1972. Finally, the show was moved to Tuesdays from May 1972 until January 16th, 1973. And the last time that Bonanza aired in prime time on NBC was on that date, January 16th, 1973. A total of 431 new episodes were filmed, all in color, over 13 full seasons. And when I say full, that's because these days a full season consists of 22 episodes. And most of the run, 34 new episodes would air per year. And the show was set in the vicinity of Virginia City, Nevada during the years of the Civil War. Bonanza told the tale of prosperous ranchers. Many copycat shows followed, such as the 90-minute Western The Virginian, also filmed in color, and The Big Valley, among many others. Now here, as promised, is the theme to Bonanza sung by series star Lorne Greene. Kind of unusual, and it's a little bit rare, I think. Let me find this. Yes, here it is.
Welcome to the Ponderosa, my friends, for an evening of songs and stories about the American West, a land of legend, of romance, of friendship and loyalty and courage, a motherlode of remembrance, a true bonanza. We chased Lady Luck till we finally struck Bonanza. With a gun and a rope and a hat full of hope, we planted our family tree. We got a hold of a pot full of gold Bonanza. With a horse and a saddle and a ring full of cattle, how rich could a fella be? On this land we put our brand, our pride is the name. Fortune smiled the day we filed the Ponderosa claim. Here in the West we're living in the best Bonanza. If anyone fights any one of us, he's gonna fight with me. Hoss and Joe and Adam know every rock and pine. No one works, fights, or eats like those boys of mine. Here we stand in the middle of a grand bonanza. With a gun and a rope and a hat full of hope, we planted our family tree. We got a hold of a pot full of gold Bonanza. With a house full of friends with a rainbow ends, how rich can a fella be? On this land we put our brand, our pride is the name. Fortune smiled the day we filed the Ponderosa claim. Here in the West we're living in the best bonanza. The friendliest, fightingest, lovingest band that ever set foot in a promised land. And we're happier than them all. That's why we call it Bonanza. 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 Bonanza.
Not bad. A lot of these classic shows actually had lyrics, like even Star Trek. Gene Roddenberry had written some lyrics, and they're awful. Bewitched, or Bewitched, however you say it, however you pronounce it. It's your personal choice, I guess. Tomato, tomato, potato, potato. Also had lyrics, and there was a time when those were sung on the Hollywood Palace. I've played that before in the Podblast, way back on Podblast number 9, Bewitched and Genie. And one day I'll play the Star Trek theme with the lyrics. It's pretty bad, but interesting to hear the variation. Now, we're continuing with Bonanza here, and Michael Landon celebrating his birthday, which was back on Halloween Day. Rest his soul. This is a cool promotional piece that Chevrolet did back in 1965, and it has stars from different hit shows on different networks, which is unusual, all in this piece. And they're showing off the new line of Chevrolet cars, starting with the Corvette. Listen to these cars. And yes, I said listen. You can hear the purr of the engine. And it has really good use of sound. So let's listen to that right fast quick. Here it is.
Welcome to Virginia City. Though I guess we should call it Chevrolet City, because this is where we'll begin to show you the exceptionally exciting lineup of new 1965 cars from Chevrolet. So let's get started with Pernell Roberts and Corvette.
This is the 65 Corvette Stingray. Looks like it means business. And it does. These new functional side vents help cool the engine. And new this year, disc brakes all around. Try the 65 Corvette. Put yourself in the cockpit and find out why they call it Stingray. You'll see what driving a real sports car is all about.
And now, let's meet Robert Vaughn, star of Chevrolet's new adventure thriller, The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
See, that's on NBC, a different network.
Well, the 1965 Corvair is the most exciting new car I've seen. Its all-new international style makes it the most sophisticated car you can buy. And if that's not enough, look at this. You can get Corvair with the new telescopic steering column. Twist, and it adjusts to you. A comfort exclusive for Corvair and Corvette. And over there, more Corvair news. The new Corsa. And you can get the Corsa with up to 180 horsepower. Enough to make you say, Uncle.
Coming up now, two very bewitching Chevrolet stars.
The beautiful Elizabeth Montgomery and the lovely Agnes Moorehead.
And that's Dan Blocker, of course, who played Haas. Now, what's interesting is Bewitched was on ABC, yet Bonanza and Man from U.N.C.L.E. were on NBC, as I said before. And note the sound effects. They're different than the sound effects when there's magic being performed, when someone's popping in and popping out of a scene than you heard on the show. Kind of cool. I like these different sound effects for the magic.
Hello, everyone. Part of our new job for Chevrolet this fall is to be very bewitching and to do all sorts of unexpected things, like this.
She just wiggled her nose and it was a weird sound there.
How do you do? Have you seen the new 1965 Chevelle?
She just zapped it into frame. By the way, I'm going to stop this for a sec. If you want to see this, go to YouTube and search 1965 Chevrolet's Bonanza and Bewitched commercial. It's actually a promotional piece because it's about 5 minutes long, 5 minutes, 27 seconds long, but I love it. Let's listen to more.
It's been beautifully refined for 65. And that new Chevelle ride? Why, it's so soft and smooth. And for the inside, is Dick York, my TV husband.
Oh, hi. The Chevelle interior is sheer magic.
You really must see the wonderful new Chevelle soon.
Miss Moorehead.
Right here next to you, Mr. Blocker.
Oh, ma'am, you can just call me Dan.
All right, Dan.
May I show you the 1965 Chevy, too?
Oh, yes, yes. Why, they've changed the roofline.
It's given brand new style to what's got to be the most dependable car on the road.
I'm sure I'd be comfortably transported in it.
I'll bet you could, too. And the Chevy, too, is the only car you can get with a 4, 6, or an 8-cylinder engine.
Well, for you people who are obliged to use automobiles to get about, Chevrolet's Chevy 2 is perfect.
Now, let's see Mike Landon's surprise.
Here it is. A completely new 1965 Chevrolet. Chevrolet is the beautiful shape for 65. Let me get out of the way so you can enjoy it.
You know, the 65 Chevrolet is loaded with luxury in every inch. It's longer, wider, and roomier. And not only is it all new outside as well as inside, but Chevrolet is completely new underneath, too. Its brand new frame and new suspension make its famous jet smooth ride even better for 65.
Or how about me showing the folks the interior?
I tell you, this boy thinks of everything.
Inside, this Impala Sport Coupe is as young, as swinging, as sport-loving as you could want. Give this baby a try.
Well, you've met Chevrolet's new family of television stars and the new 1965 cars. I I think you'll agree that never have so many truly new and exciting cars come your way all at one time. Well, I hope you'll visit your Chevrolet dealer tomorrow to see the entire lineup of new 1965 Chevrolet cars close up. Thank you for joining us.
Wow. That's pretty cool. And again, that's on YouTube if you want to check it out. It's a pretty interesting video. Like Elizabeth Montgomery's driving one of the vehicles. And anyway, it's kind of cool. And I remember Chevrolet also sponsored My Three Sons on ABC and a lot of great shows of the time. I think at that point, they weren't sponsoring My Three Sons, or else you would have seen some of the actors from that show in that promotional piece there. Immediately after Bonanza's impressive long run concluded, immediately after it concluded, Michael Landon landed here on this show. On Little House on the Prairie. I remember when I was a kid, I thought the show was called Little House on a Ferry. When I was like 5 years old, I said to my mom, I remember she had a school teacher friend of hers over, and I said, Mom, can I watch Little House on the Ferry? And I remember it got a big laugh. I meant to say prairie. Anyway, it started, Little House on the Prairie, as a TV movie of the week of the same name, airing Saturday, March 30th, 1974 on NBC. Same network as Bonanza. It was so popular that NBC commissioned a weekly series which debuted on Wednesday, September 11th of all days, 1974 at 8 o'clock. It ended as a 1-hour weekly series back on Monday, March 21st, 1983, also at 8 p.m., but on a different, on a different night. Yes, it was on Wednesdays, and then it was moved to Monday. And there were some 90-minute episodes filmed that were never rerun again due to the length, because most stations and reruns would schedule it as a 1-hour show in a 1-hour time slot. So like the two-parters and 2-hour episodes could be edited and such that it would air as a two-parter. But the 90-minute shows, there was really no way to pad that extra time, so they just never reran them. Then eventually they did package these up and remaster them and release them starting in 2013 on Blu-ray. And I bought them all. And, I always liked the show. And it was based, of course, on the real books by Laura Ingalls Wilder. And I want to play this little quick trailer for the remastered editions. They were really cool. Where is that? Right here. Here it is. This is kind of a very brief little clip here. A little ad for the Blu-rays. And I thought it was pretty well edited. The best episodes, by the way. Well, hang on.
Thought I might tell you a story.
Oh, please, Pop.
Little House on the Prairie, the deluxe remastered edition.
Kansas, here we come.
Experience all 9 seasons of the groundbreaking series.
You like home? Good. Because we got one now.
Relive the memories.
As long as you do your best, Laura, we'll always be proud of you.
Of one courageous family.
Yeah. Come on.
That sets out on an amazing adventure and discovers a thrilling new world.
On your mark. Get set.
Celebrate the characters you cherish.
I'm Mary Inglesman, and that's Laura.
And the stories you'll never forget.
Will you marry me?
Of course I will.
The timeless series you grew up with comes to life like never before.
You're a lucky man, Mr. Ingalls. That's the one thing in this life I'm absolutely sure of.
See your favorite family beautifully restored.
Well, Ingalls family, how's it look?
With all 9 seasons presented in their complete and uncut format for the first time since their original TV broadcast.
I can't count all the things you've taught me.
And exciting new bonus features.
How's that sound?
That sounds good to me.
Including the 40th anniversary documentary, The Little House Phenomenon.
I've decided something.
What's that, Heffa?
Home is the nicest word there is.
Own all 9 seasons of Little House on the Prairie, Deluxe Remastered Edition.
We're home?
We're home. Look for it on DVD and digital HD.
They did a good job with that remastering, and I think it's streaming on Peacock, which is the streaming service for Xfinity, which owns Universal and NBC. And it's on Cozy TV, spelled COZI, which is a free over-the-air network, a digital network in pretty much all the major markets, including Atlanta, Georgia, where I'm at. So another long-running hit for Michael Landon. 203 weekly episodes were made, as well as 5 TV movies, including one where their town, Walnut Grove, was blown up by dynamite. They blew up the entire town so that bad guys couldn't take control of it. The last TV movie was titled Bless All the Dear Children, which aired on December 17th, 1984. However, again, right after, actually before that final movie for Little House on the Prairie aired, Michael Landon started acting in another show for NBC. And he was reunited with Victor French, who was an actor who played Mr. Edwards, the bearded gentleman on Little House on the Prairie. And Merlin Olsen replaced him. What happened was Victor French left Little House after a few seasons to star in a comedy called Carter Country, which lasted for a couple years. And Michael Landon was so cool because he had a lot of pull. You know, he was a writer and director of the show, Little House on the Prairie. He brought him back, and he wrote him back into the show. And I remember Victor French remained on Little House when he returned until the end in the 9th season, the final season. Kind of cool. And then they were reunited for this show that started in 1984. I'm going to play a little bit of the opening. And, of course, it was called Highway to Heaven. And in the opening credits, you saw this shot of the clouds. It's like you've died and gone to heaven. I'm just going to play a little bit what the opening music sounded like to that show. Kind of nondescript music. It's not like an incredible theme song, but I just, for historical purposes, I like to document these things on the nostalgic Podblast. So Highway to Heaven started September 19th, 1984, Wednesday nights at 8. Then they moved it to 9 and then back to 8 again. And it ran for 5 seasons. 111 weekly episodes aired, ending on Friday, August 4th, 1989, with an episode titled Merry Christmas for Grandpa. Victor French died in 1989. That's one of the reasons why the show ended. It was very popular. Victor French passed away on June 15th, 1989. And let me see, I didn't pull up a cause of death. I always like to note this. Let's see here. Man, he was only 54 years old when he passed away. 3 months after he's diagnosed with lung cancer. That's terrible. I know a lot of people that are battling that, and you just got to keep them in your thoughts, man, and in prayers. It's tough. That's awful. Well, getting back to Little House on the Prairie, I'm going to play a clip right before it premiered, right when it was starting. Michael Landon was on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. You know I like to feature clips of David Letterman and Johnny Carson interviewing these lost stars because they were just so good at giving interviews. Yet both of them didn't like to be interviewed themselves. They were both very shy individuals, reportedly. But, Little House, I want to say, it holds up. Obviously, it's set in a time. It's a period piece. So, of course, it's not going to look dated. Like, it's funny. Things from, like, the 70s to me look incredibly dated with the bell-bottoms and flyaway collars and big ties. But then you could watch something from the 1700s or the Civil War era, and it doesn't feel dated at all because it's just strange. You know what I'm trying to say? I think that's unusual. But I want to play this clip. This is from way back on September 24th, 1974. When did I say Little House premiered? I don't remember. As a weekly series, September 11th, 74. Okay, I should remember that, 9/11/74. So it had only been on for a couple, 3 weeks when he was on The Tonight Show. Of course, more were in the can. These things are shot and then they air about 3 months later after the shows are scored with the music and post-production and special effects are done. But let's listen to a little bit of Michael Landon with the great Johnny Carson, and this clip is courtesy of Johnny Carson's YouTube channel.
Stars in a new NBC show called Little House on the Prairie, which is my next guest. You all know he stars in a new NBC show called Little House on the Prairie, which is doing very, very well, and it's seen at 8 o'clock tomorrow. He's a nice guy, fine actor. Would you welcome Mike Landon? How's your Little House on the Prairie?
It's just fantastic. No, just great. We're having a good time.
Did you ever really plow behind a mule or a horse before?
Did I ever get plowed behind a mule?
Did you ever?
No, I occasionally took a sip or two like Ed, but I never got plowed
You're
behind
out
a
there,
mule.
you know, with the plow and so forth?
Oh, yeah, sure, I do that.
I know, but have you ever done it before that?
Did it in my yard.
What do you mean you did it? Did it in your yard?
The first house I ever bought was too expensive for me, and I told my business manager, I am going to do the yard. Don't worry about a gardener. I'm taking care of all of it. It was a 1.5 acre dune. Nothing. So I went out and I rented a rototiller, which I thought was a thing about like so. Turned out to be 7 feet long. Big motor. A blade. You ground up the ground, right?
Right.
I set this thing for 18 inches down to dig it all up. And I'm running through my yard and I'm thinking, no wonder these construction people, they don't care. They throw pipe here, they throw pipe there. They make a mess. I'm throwing pipe over the hill. 3.5 hours I throw pipe over the hill. It was my pipe. 400 feet of drain pipe, set at 8 inches.
Set at 8 inches?
8 inches, I'm going to 16. I don't care.
So you gave that up immediately?
Yes, I went into the house then.
Yeah. Aren't you handy with things around there?
I'm very handy.
You are.
Incredibly. I had a weekend. This past weekend, you would not believe. I haven't had a weekend off. I've been working kind of hard.
Well, when you do a weekly show, an hour show, you start shooting at 6:37 and you go right through the day, right?
Yeah, and I got a lot of cutting and other stuff to do. So I decided this weekend to pick up on all the stuff I hadn't done. And my wife sleeps rather late. I thought she was a vampire for 12 years. So...
Does that cause problems? I mean, you have to get up...
No, she only bites my throat.
Yeah, I see, of course. No, I didn't mean that. I mean, you resent the fact that you're getting... Never mind the rim shot. Where does it say rim shot? Kenny Bunkport. You resent the fact that you get up. A lot of guys would say, wait a minute, I'm hauling out of bed here at 6 in the morning and she's sleeping.
No, I haul out of bed at 4:30 and it's better that way.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's quiet. Okay. It's nice. I like it.
So anyway.
So I got up and I decided to do all the things that I hadn't done. And there were a number around my house. So I went downstairs and the pipe had broken on the ice maker. So I kind of paddled my way through the pantry and the coffee maker had died. I had a built-in thing.
That was not...
There's no way to get to that. So I boil the water. Now I decide to do the important things. Clean the ovens. We have automatic ovens, right? I flip on clean on 4 ovens.
That's good.
But I don't put the shields up.
Oh,
now I'm sitting there drinking my coffee, and it's like 4 television sets exploding.
The glass?
Right in your face. The glass breaks. My wife's not up yet, so I'm not in trouble.
Even after that?
Well, she lives in the East Wing. It's another time zone.
Oh, I see.
Right. She doesn't see you till 10:30. So I go into the dining room, and I want to clean the chandelier. I got a beautiful chandelier. I start to clean. Each candle at a time, and I'm thinking, dynamite. It looks incredible, and I keep turning it. Do another candle, turn it. I swear to you on my life, I unscrew it right out of the ceiling. I now have the most incredible lazy Susan into my dining room table that you've ever seen.
Look, you big klutz, why do you do those things? Why don't you...
Because I don't plow well either, John.
We had that happen at the house once. Somebody cleaned the oven, and it's electric, and you turn it on, and it heats up tremendous, 600 or 700 degrees, and you got a metal thing you have to put up in front of the little window. And when that thing explodes, it really goes, right?
But it doesn't upset my wife. She came down that morning for her tea. She has to have tea and a donut. Hot tea with lemon and a donut. My wife sat there, and she looked at the ovens like it was the morning show. Sipping a tea, she didn't know anything was wrong.
And all the fronts are out of the ovens.
Gone.
That's a nice woman you live with.
She's a
that's
wonderful gal.
sweet that she wouldn't, do something like that. We have you work with children in the show. Are kids, actors difficult to work with, honestly?
The only thing that makes it difficult working with children is that they know their lines. And it's very embarrassing for the adults.
Well, you mean they go home and they memorize them and really got it cold?
They have it down. So you can't fool around with them. If you don't say your line, the kid's going, they say the line right to you.
It's interesting. We got a small film clip from Little House on the Prairie. Does this need any explanation? Do you know what we have? Or
Yeah, I'll tell you what it is. It's bits and pieces of a show that's on tomorrow night that has to do with the first time that...
Now, these are not the crazy outtakes you brought us once.
No, these are legits. No crazy outtakes this week. They're legits, and this is... The show itself is based on truth, and these people did live, and this was the first crop that the man lost in Minnesota. And it has to do with a hailstorm and the loss of a crop and where he went to work. And it's kind of bits and pieces here and there.
Okay, Bobby, want to roll it? Watch the monitors in the studio. This is part of the episode tomorrow, right?
Right.
Wait a minute. What was that last?
They cut the clip.
That was a part of the dramatic plot tomorrow, throwing the
The
dynamite
YouTube
at
channel for Johnny
outpost?
Carson cut the clip. I probably should cut this clip
that.
long.
I figured, knowing you, I figured you got to throw something in there. Were you holding that spike now when the guy was...
Yes, I was, with a giant rubber mallet.
You see, you've taken all the... Nothing is real.
You've taken all the fingers off my hand.
Yeah.
No, we used regular 8-pound sledges.
Yeah. Do you enjoy doing a weekly series again? You did
But
Bonanza.
not with 8-pound sledges. No, I don't. I like...
You did Bonanza, what, 12 years? 9 years?
How so?
10 years?
Forget us, John. 14 years.
14 years.
Yes. I don't like to take it away from Bob Hope, but this is my 26th anniversary on television.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, I started in 1949 on television. 48, 49.
I lie, and the people go, ah. Jeez, I
This is
can't
not your
believe it.
27th year on television?
No, it isn't. Well, I never said
just-
it was. They believed it.
you
What
just-
the heck? I'll go with it.
What a hokey
Look,
way
it's
to
not
get
my
it
career
wrong.
on the line tonight. I'm just sitting here.
You don't need this. You
I
got
hope
your
my
own
wife will fall
show.
asleep and find out I didn't blow the chandelier.
Does she stay up to watch the show? Obviously she does, because
Certainly
she
she
sleeps
does.
late. How about
My kids stay up to watch the show.
Do they like it?
That isn't the point, John. The
Well,
show
now-
is on from 8 to 9.
Right.
My kids have their choice. They can stay up till 9. They can have a severe beating at 8 and go to bed.
Obviously they like the show.
They love it. Oh, they love it.
Scarred, but they love the show. We'll take a short break here. 27 years on television. We'll be right back.
The great Johnny Carson. By the way, I'm Chance Bartels, by the way, from the Nostalgic Podblast. If you happen to be watching, or if you're listening on fistfulradio.com, there's something cool going on video as I'm live in the Nostalgic Podblast Facebook group. And on YouTube, I have this jack-o'-lantern left over from Halloween, and I lit this candle, who a wonderful woman named Deborah Welk, who passed away years ago, gave me. We worked together at Cox Auto Trader. And she gave me this candle, and I put it inside this ceramic jack-o'-lantern, and there's a cool effect. It looks ghostly that the candlelight is projecting. You'll see off to the right of the frame. It looks almost like a ghost is in my home studio room. It's really bizarre. But here are some facts about Michael Landon on a personal level. It's kind of sad. In February 1959, his father succumbed to a heart attack. In 1973, his eldest daughter, Cheryl, was involved in a serious car collision just outside of Tucson, Arizona, while she was a student at the University of Arizona. Cheryl Landon was the sole survivor out of 4 involved in the collision. She was hospitalized back then with serious injuries and remained in a coma for days. Landon's mother, Peggy, died in March of 1981. Michael Landon admitted to being a chain smoker and a heavy drinker. And sadly, Michael Landon passed away on Monday, July 1st, 1991, from cancer of the pancreas, pancreatic cancer. Here is another appearance. This is much briefer. It's only like under 2 minutes long, I think. But it's from videotape, so the audio is a little sketchy. But this is from May 9th, 1991, less than 2 months before he passed away. of Michael Landon with Johnny Carson again years later after the clip I just played on The Tonight Show. Let's see if we can get this quickly for you. I pulled all these clips. Where is this one? It's right here. Yep. He just had a week and a half
Humor
left
is
to
not
live.
bad. Humor's bad. But now somebody, I don't want to bring up something that's insensitive, but it was in the paper. About coffee.
Oh,
You were
coffee
taking your
enemas.
coffee in a...
Oh, I take coffee enemas. Anybody out there ever heard of a coffee enema?
Yes, I've heard of it.
All right, you must be fun to have breakfast with.
Yes.
Oh!
Well, I read that, and I read that was in the paper.
I invited John over for a coffee enema. He wanted cream and sugar, and I'm not pouring.
Well, you... You know, you just better hope that somebody is not seeking to replace your coffee with Folgers crystals. Oh, it could be a long day.
Oh, yeah. This is all organic coffee, too.
Yeah. But the hair looks great.
My hair, I had my roots done yesterday, especially for this show. 2 blood transfusions, and I had my roots done. You think I didn't want to come on John's show?
Now, you mentioned humor, and they say that's important. I know you're familiar with the Norman Cousins book.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was called Anatomy of an Illness, and when people are going through a travail, the sense of humor...
A travail?
A travail, all right.
This is a travail?
A travailer.
Woo!
A problem?
You know, it's very true.
Does it help? I mean,
Oh,
really?
yeah, laugh. Try to turn on funny I was watching a movie the other night. I thought it was going to be funny.
Right.
As a matter of fact, this movie was so unfunny that I brought a poster of it.
Oh, I knew you.
Is there a camera that can get in tight enough on this?
You did it again.
Let me
Looking
hold
for
it right here.
Look at
One
this.
of the guys in this movie down here in the corner. This teenager fella right here, Johnny. Look at that.
That was my big picture, Connie Francis, in Looking for Love. Mm-hmm.
You were good in it, John.
Yeah, that was really. Where'd you
You
find
were
that?
good in it.
Al
Danny
Hardy's
Thomas
basement.
wasn't funny in
This
That's
film
where he
was
found
so
it.
bad. They transferred this film to flammable nitrate stock. Just so bad. Okay, you've got a show, a pilot that's going on. You made for this fall.
That's
That's right.
Called Us.
Called Us. Made it for CBS. I don't get
not
better. It's
NBC.
their second mistake since buying baseball. And darn it, it was a hell of a good pilot. I think I might have busted the odds and had another hit.
You know, I was a little worried about this interview tonight. You've made me feel much better. With your attitude. I mean...
It's really sad. He'd be gone just a few weeks after that interview, and he looked great in the interview. Michael Landon did, but rest in peace. Wow, he's been gone since 1991, and what a impressive resume of television hits, all for NBC. But as you heard, he's about to branch off into CBS, but it wasn't meant to be because he passed away. Also born on Halloween is comedian and actor Rob Schneider. He turned 58 on Halloween Day 2021. He was born Thursday, October 31st, 1963 in San Francisco, California. The San Francisco treat. A former kindergarten teacher and ex-school board president, Marvin Schneider, a real estate broker as well, is something he dabbled in. His father was Marvin Schneider, and his father was Jewish. His mother was Catholic. Rob Schneider's maternal grandmother was a Filipina from the Philippines, who met and married his grandfather, a white American Army private, while he was stationed in the Philippines. Rob Schneider's mixed background is a common theme in his comedy acts. His older brother, John, is a producer. Rob Schneider graduated from Terra Nova High School in 1982 and then attended San Francisco State University. Rob Schneider was hired at Saturday Night Live on NBC back in 1988. Schneider swiftly graduated from writer and featured player to full cast member. From 1990 to 1994 at Saturday Night Live, or SNL as it's called, he played such roles as Tiny Elvis and, this is what the article said, not me, Orgasm Guy. Ugh. His best-known recurring character, of course, was Richard Lamer, an office worker whose desk was stuck beside the photocopier, and who addressed each of his fellow employees with an endless stream of annoying nicknames. Rob Schneider is featured in the video release the bad boys of Saturday Night Live for home video, along with colleagues Adam Sandler, Chris Rock, David Spade, and the great Chris Farley. Man, I love The Waterboy. Remember The Waterboy? God, it seems like yesterday, but it's really been a long time since that movie was released. It was released back on Friday, November 6th, 1998, and that was, of course, by Adam Sandler. And it had Henry Winkler in it, who I talked about yesterday in the celebrity birthday segment. That's really what the show has become. It's like a little mini biography. I need to get back on track with some topics or something, because this is like the birthday show or something. But Henry Winkler was in that movie as a timid coach. And so we came almost full circle. I intended to have this all be in one show, but I just ran a little long yesterday. Anyway, I want to play a couple clips from The Waterboy, and there's so many good actors in that. Like Jerry Reed, the singer-actor, from Smokey and the Bandit. Let me play a little bit of The Waterboy. Some people don't like the Adam Sandler movies. I don't like all of them, but I think most of them are pretty damn good, and a lot of them are outright classics. Let's get to this. Here it is right here. The Waterboy. Here's some of the actual theatrical trailer preview. Thought that was funny. Touchstone Pictures.
He was one of a kind, the last of his breed, the world's finest. Waterboy.
Now that's what I call high-quality A2O.
Bobby Boucher was a lonely boy.
Smelled like you could use a shower, I'm thinking. Everybody else got friends, Mama. I just want some, too.
You don't have what they call the social skill.
My name is Bobby Boucher.
That's why you never have any friends, except for your mama.
Constantly tormented by everyone.
Kathy Bates as Mama.
One day,
Somebody hurt you, my boy? You gotta defend yourself here, Bobby, or they're gonna ride you for the whole season.
they pushed him too far.
Stop making fun of me. Oh, dang. He's killed, though.
Now,
Play football for this team. My mama ain't gonna let me play no football.
they're going to trade him.
Is there any sport that you do watch? Wrestling. I want you to do to Casey what Captain Insano does to the bad guy.
And turn him loose.
Visualize all those people that have been mean to you, and then I want you to attack.
What's the matter with you, boy? You too stupid? No.
No what?
He get hit
Now everyone will feel
when he got
his
pissed
pain.
off.
The amazing 31-year-old Preston set a new NCAA record by sacking the quarterback 16 times.
And you are so sexy.
The Waterboy's influence now reaches far beyond college football.
From Touchstone Pictures and the director of The Wedding Singer.
And I like that Adam Sandler would feature Rob Schneider in all of his movies. Almost every single movie he would hire him. So, The Waterboy, I like that movie. Now, here's a very brief bit of Rob Schneider from way back in 1987 on Late Night with David Letterman on NBC. Probably got him a lot of recognition, and why a year later he was hired as a writer on Saturday Night Live. This is from videotape, so the quality might be a little... I think it's in mono, but just bear with me. It's very brief.
Thank you very much. My name is Rob Schneider. I'm 5'5". Please remain seated. My parents are short. I'm going to marry a girl shorter than me. We're breeding down. We're going to be Shetland people. I want my children to be collector's items. I think it's important. I'm the youngest of 6 kids in my family, so by the time I grew up, my parents didn't care anymore. There were no more rules to break. They just came up to me and said, okay, Rob, here are the car keys. Here's where the alcohol is. You just do whatever you have to do.
You don't think of him as a stand-up comic, you know? I don't remember seeing him do much stand-up comedy. I think of him as an actor and doing sketches on SNL.
Back here guarding our china. I am from California. Any native Californians there?
In New York?
I'm proud because California is where the word dude comes from. I've watched the word dude develop over the years. It's turned into a word kind of like aloha. It has more than just one meaning. You can use it to say hello. Dude! can also use it to say, listen, dude. But its most important meaning, though, most important, is you blew it. Dude. It could also mean, are you in the closet with a knife? Dude? Anybody see the Indianapolis 500 this year? Yeah. Okay, let me tell you. Weird story. Some guy got hit by a tire and was killed.
Damn.
Can you imagine? What were the odds? 400,000 people there, and you get smacked. I know what he's thinking. I got it. I got it. This is the ultimate souvenir right here, man.
Says his arms. I got it.
Get out of here with the tire. It'll be so cool. Hey, where'd you get that? Indy? Good thing I had my tire mitt.
Indy 500.
I read in the paper, true story, another family quarrel has resulted in a shooting. This is sad, because this is so preventable. Because when your lover comes back into the living room with a shotgun, it's time to make up. It's time to get all agreeable inside. You know, honey, you're right. This place is a mess. I'm going to start picking up right now. Well, my girlfriend lives in Los Angeles. I live in San Francisco. We can't always be together, so we have phone sex. It's weird, especially because I have call waiting. Let me tell you guys, you really don't want to know about your girlfriend's past. You know, you think you do, but after she tells you, you realize you didn't want to know that. Oh. So, you used to be a man. Dude. I'd like to do my impersonation right now of Elvis Presley on a fish hook. Here we go. It's sunny red. I want to step outside. I don't remember. Get some sweet cakes, get some pie. I don't remember. Come by here and,
He's going like this.
That's hilarious. Most comedians won't do Elvis on a fish hook. I go right for it. Thank you very much.
Rob Schneider, another Halloween birthday. Overrated director Peter Jackson turned 60 on Halloween Day 2021. I kid, I joke. I know I'm in the minority on this as well. But Peter Jackson was born Tuesday, October 31st, 1961 in New Zealand, in Pukura Bay, New Zealand. And he's known, of course, for his take on King Kong with Naomi Watts back in 2005. And, of course, the slow and expertly dull Lord of the Rings movies. They were so bloated and overdone and overblown and overproduced. Oh, Jesus. Now, I know people like them. I love the books. Don't get me wrong. But anyway, he's another Halloween birthday boy. Vanilla Ice turned 54 on Halloween Day 2021. And he was born on Halloween back in 1967, which was on a Tuesday. And he was born with the birth name Robert Matthew Van Winkle in Dallas, Texas. Astronaut Michael Collins was born on Friday, October 31st, 1930 in Rome, Italy. Michael Collins flew the Apollo 11 command module Columbia around the moon in 1969, while his crewmates Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin made the first crewed, that's K-R-E-W-E-D, like a film crew, first crewed landing on the surface of the moon. Michael Collins also was a test pilot and a major general in the United States Air Force Reserves. Michael Collins graduated from the United States Military Academy with the class of 1952. He joined the United States Air Force and flew an F-86 Sabre fighter at the Air Force Base Chambly-Bruxelles in France. He was accepted into the U.S. Air Force Experimental Flight Test Pilot School at Edwards Air Force Base back in 1960. also graduating from the Aerospace Research Pilot School, Class 3. Selected as part of NASA's third group of 14 astronauts in 1963, Michael Collins flew in space twice. His first spaceflight was on Gemini 10 in 1966, in which he and command pilot John Young performed orbital rendezvous with two spacecraft and undertook 2 extravehicular activities, EVAs for short, which are also known as spacewalks. On the 1969 Apollo 11 mission, Michael Collins became one of 24 people to fly to the moon, which he orbited 30 times. He was the 4th person and the 3rd American to perform a spacewalk, the first person to have performed more than one spacewalk, and after Young, who flew the command module on Apollo 10, the 2nd person to orbit the moon alone. He's a true rocket man there. After retiring from NASA in 1970, Collins took a job in the Department of State as Assistant Secretary of State for Public Affairs. A year later, he became the director of the National Air and Space Museum and held this position until 1978, when Michael Collins stepped down to become Undersecretary of the Smithsonian Institution. In 1980, Michael Collins took a job as Vice President of LTV Aerospace. He resigned in 1985 to start his own consulting firm. Along with his Apollo 11 crewmates, Michael Collins was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1969 and the Congressional Gold Medal in 2011. Michael Collins died from cancer at age 90 on Wednesday, April 28, 2021 in Naples, Florida. Brian Doyle Murray, the older brother of Bill Murray, turned 76 on Halloween Day 2021 with a birth date of October 31st, 1945 in Evanston, Illinois. He was born on a Wednesday, and he's a very funny guy and a great voice artist. Brian Doyle Murray acted with his little brother Bill in these movies: Caddyshack, Scrooge, Ghostbusters 2, Groundhog Day, and The Razor's Edge. And who could forget him as Clark Griswold's boss in the classic Christmas comedy National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I never will forget that. He was funny in that. As a disgruntled boss, pissed off that he got kidnapped. Now, I like him in a bad movie that everybody hates, but I like. And it's a movie starring Chevy Chase called Modern Problems. And that movie actually turns 40 years old on Christmas Day 2021. But it was about Chevy Chase's character, who's an air traffic controller, who gets doused with nuclear waste while driving home from work. He's behind this big rig, and it's spilling this green liquid, and it gets on his windshield, and it gives him powers. It's kind of like Zapped with Scott Baio and Willie Ames and Heather Thomas. And Felicia, what's her name from Facts of Life? Anyway, Modern Problems, I thought it had some funny moments because I like this actor from Buffalo Bill and 9 to 5. Dabney Coleman, remember him? He played Mr. Hart, the asshole boss in 9 to 5. And he was in that movie playing another, he was kind of typecast as a jerk. And he played this guy, Mark, who was like an author, a BS author, kind of like a Dr. Phil type. And he had the best lines in the movie. He's on the beach, just such an egomaniac with a recorder. He's like, partial list of my favorite things, Mr. Martin Scorsese. Women on beaches. By any of you in Playboy? I guess it was just a weird little character. And he was the foil for Max, who Chevy Chase played with the powers. But I want to play a little bit of some stand-up of Brian Doyle Murray. And this is like not even 2 minutes long, so it's not a long clip. And this is from the National Lampoon Radio Hour. And it's great audio in terms of the audio quality. And it's just rapid fire, bam, 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 content and jokes and comedy that he puts out. It's the comedy that makes you think, it's more cerebral, I think, than laugh out loud funny, but I still think it's funny. Where is that? Right here. Thanks to the National Lampoon Archive. From 1974.
A man walks into a nightclub with a beautiful girl in his arm. The show begins, and a comedian comes out for his first show of the evening. The comedian says, a man walks into a nightclub with a beautiful girl on his arm. The show begins, and the comedian comes out for his second show of the evening. The show begins, and the comedian says, a man walks into a nightclub with a beautiful girl on his arm. Just then, a man in the front row stands up and says, I think I've heard this before. The comedian says, maybe you caught my first show of the evening. The man says, no, I just walked in here. The comedian says, well, it was a guy who looked just like you. Walked in with a beautiful girl on his arm. Could have been your twin brother. The man says, my twin brother is dead. The comedian says, what is this, a wake? The man says, I don't have to stand for this. And he stands up, and he walks outside. The comedian says, are you out there? I can hear you breathing. The man says, I'm holding my breath. The comedian says, well, I'm holding your wife. Just then, the man says, that's not my wife. And he walks back into the nightclub with another beautiful girl on his arm. Who's that lady I'm seeing you with, the comedian says. The man says, this is my wife. That other lady is my dead twin brother's wife. You can take her if you want her. And the comedian says, not unless you say please. Just then, a man walks into a nightclub with a tattoo of a beautiful girl on his arm eating elbow macaroni. The comedian says, is that girl from Italy? The man says, no, just hungry. Just then, a man walks into the nightclub. He comes riding into the nightclub on a pony with a feather stuck in his head. What do you call that, the comedian asks. An entrance, the man says. But forget that. Just give me a beer and give my pony a jockey. The bartender says, I think that pony's had enough already. Well, make it a short jockey, the man says, and while you're at it, give that lady's lawyer some briefs. The lady stands up and says, I can defend myself, Your Honor. And the lawyer says, but I'll defend her honor, Your Honor. The judge says, well, on her offer. Make up your mind. The comic says, definitely honor. That's the best offer I've had all day. Well, take it or leave it, says the judge. Couldn't we just drop it, says the comedian? He says, well, you better drop leaflets before you bomb. Well, the comedian says, I'm already bombing. He says, maybe it's your material. He says, you don't think it fits? He says, well, it could be let out a little. The comedian says, how much do you think it'll cost me? He says, it'll cost you an arm and a leg. The comic says, well, listen, can you put it on the cuff? The tailor says, I'll tell you what I'll do. Well, forget the leg, and I'll just charge you an arm. And a beautiful arm it is. Okay, says the comedian, and the tailor cuts off the comedian's arm and gives him the suit.
Just bam, bam, bam.
He calls his girlfriend and asks her to go out on the town with him in order to celebrate. He calls on his girlfriend and gives her the beautiful arm as a gift. She wears it around her neck just like a stole, and they go out on the town. The man walks into the nightclub with a beautiful arm on his girl. The show begins, and the one-armed comedian comes out for his last show of the evening. He does his act, and the audience stands up and gives him a hand.
Just bam, 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 rapid-fire comedy. Now, here's a quick clip of Brian Doyle Murray lending his voice to Family Guy. We were just talking about Seth MacFarlane last time. 2 times ago on the Podblast, because I forgot this was a 2-parter there. Where is that? Here it is. Family Guy. Here's some. You can spot his voice anywhere. He has a very distinctive voice. Sounds a lot like his brother.
Hello, Luke.
Have we met?
My name's Brian. I was born here.
Sorry, son. Lots of dogs been born here. Refresh my memory. Which one were you again?
I was the one who could talk.
Brian, come on in. Daddy, look who it is.
Is that Brian? Oh, and you brought a little friend. Well, I bet you're a hungry little fella.
Yes, and I'll bet you lost your virginity to a mechanical bull. Now change me.
Look, I've been thinking a lot about my mother lately, and,
she was a good dog.
Was? You mean?
Last year. She went real peaceful.
Oh. Well, she probably wouldn't have wanted to see me anyway.
That's not true. Biscuit loved all her puppies.
Biscuit.
Brian, your mama gave you up because she thought you'd have a better life if she let you go. Was she right, son? Do you have a good life?
Yeah, I really do. I have a great life.
Would you like to see her?
See her? I don't understand.
Well, we love Biscuit so much, we wanted to keep her with us always. So we had her stuffed.
Oh, God.
Mom! Well, I say, someone must have said a funny, because your mother's in stitches.
All right, so you get an idea. That's some of his voice work. Brian Doyle Murray. Now, moving on to other celebrities born on Halloween Day. Lee Grant. She turned 96 last Halloween, on Halloween Day 2021, and she was born in New York, New York. She's been in a ton of movies. I don't have any clips of her, but, God, I remember this performance of hers in a really chilling horror movie, Damien, The Omen Part 2 from 1978, where she played the wife of William Holden's character. She's like, I've always belonged to him, meaning Damien and the devil. Just creepy. But I remember her in a great Fugitive episode opposite Tim O'Connor, who went on to play Dr. Hewer and Buck Rogers in the 25th Century. Or no, he played the dude. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm digressing. I'm going nowhere with this. But Lee Grant, she turned 96, Halloween Day 2021. Gone but remembered forever as Barbara Bel Geddes, best known from Dallas as the Mama, Miss Ellie Ewing from 1978 to 1990. She left the show early. It continued on beyond 1990. She was born on a Tuesday on Halloween Day 1922 in Northeast Harbor, Maine. JR, Mama don't like talking business when there's supper on the table. That was a dumb line written for Bobby Ewing, who was played by Patrick Duffy. I always remember that. JR, Mama don't like talking business when there's supper on the table. Stupid, that line. Now, Miss Ellie, her character, had a double mastectomy in a very special episode of Dallas from season 2, I think. And there's a really powerful, dramatic scene where after her operation, she looks in the mirror and exclaims to herself, "I'm deformed." Of course, she did a lot better than that, but she's crying. It's a really emotional scene. It was a very powerful episode. So, in all seriousness, mammograms are so important, ladies. Seriously, Angelina Jolie is going to star in, or is starring in The Eternals, which opens Friday, November 5th. She, preventive measure, she had a mastectomy. I mean, it's been reported, so I'm not being gossipy here. Just, and she did other stuff too to prevent herself from getting cancer. Anyway, Barbara Bel Geddes appeared on stage as well as being a screen actress, artist, and children's author whose career spanned almost 5 decades. She was best known for her starring role, as I said, as Miss Ellie Ewing on Dallas, but she also starred as Maggie in the original Broadway production of Cat on a Hot Tin Roof in 1955. Her notable film roles included I Remember Mama in 1948 and the Hitchcock movie Vertigo in 1958. Throughout her career, she was the recipient of several acting awards and nominations. She retired from acting entirely in 1990 and settled into her home where she was born in Northeast Harbor, Maine, where she continued to work as a fine artist. She was the author of 2 children's books titled I Like to Be Me, and the other book was titled So Do I, as well as the creator of a popular line of greeting cards. Looking back on her career, Barbara Bel Geddes told People magazine, "They're always making me play well-bred ladies. I'm not very well-bred, and I'm not much of a lady." Barbara Bel Geddes died of lung cancer on Monday, August 8th, 2005. Rest in peace. Now here's another quick clip, 30 seconds long. You'll recognize this theme. It's been running since 1965, and I actually posted in the Nostalgic Podblast Facebook group the first episode of this long-running serial, and it got a tremendous response from ladies in the group. I think it was all females that responded, but listen to this music. This will bring back a lot of memories. It's a daytime show on NBC, started in 1965, as I said.
Like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives. This is MacDonald Carey, and these are the days of our lives.
So that was the opening of Days of Our Lives, and that's the most popular one, and it ran through 1993 when they inexplicably changed it. But the reason I played that is Deidre Hall is a Halloween baby whom most of you know from Days of Our Lives. She turned 74 on Halloween Day 2021. She was born Friday, October 31st, 1947 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where the cheap beer is made. But I know her from another show from back in 1976. There were only 8 stories of this show produced, but it really made a lasting impression on a lot of Gen Xers when they were kids. And I'm going to play the opening for you now of this show. It was part of the Sid and Marty Krofft Super Show, and I'll explain in a moment. I want to play the opening of it. You know what that is. was a take kind of like the Adam West Burt Ward Batman show, but 10 years after that show began. And it was on Saturday mornings, as I said, and it had cliffhangers, which was kind of cool. But the cliffhanger, you didn't have to wait till the next night like he did with Batman in prime time. No, it would be concluded within that same Sid and Marty Krofft super show later in the show after they played like Dr. Shrinker or another segment that they rotated within that program. So Sid and Marty Krofft Super Show began on all day, September 11th, like Little House on the Prairie began on that date. September 11th, 1976. Little House, 74, 2 years. But I'm saying September 11th. Anyway, the Krofft Super Show began September 11th, 1976, and it ran through Christmas Day, 76. Talking about Electra Woman and Dinah Girl there. And they call it online 16 episodes, but it's really 8 because it's the same story, you know, and the segments were only about 12 minutes long each. So 24 minutes. Let's just say there's 8 24 minutes long episodes. And during the second season of the Krofft Super Show, they dropped Electra Woman and Dinah Girl along with Dr. Shrinker. They had Billy Barty in it, the little guy actor who was in so much stuff. He was in Dr. Shrinker. Later, Electra Woman and Dinah Girl was syndicated in a show called The Krofft Superstars, and it was released on home video in the late 1990s and through Columbia House home video, like the you can get all these CDs for a penny. You know, the club, the music club, they also did one for videotapes. Columbia House did, and they released the Sid and Marty Krofft shows, including most, not all, but most of the 8 Electra Woman and Dinah Girl episodes. So the show gathered a cult following, and the co-star was Judy Strangis as Dinah Girl, and she was really cute. She had pigtails, and they kind of copied the Batman, like, "Holy Toledo, Batman!" That she did similar things, like "Electra Weird." You know, she did kind of a take on the Robin expression there. But getting back to the point of all this, Deidre Hall is clearly best known for her portrayal of Dr. Marlena Evans on NBC's daytime drama Days of Our Lives, whom she has played for over 40 years. In 1986, Deidre Hall began playing Jessie Witherspoon on the primetime family drama titled Our House, which ran for 2 seasons on NBC. Also in that cast for Our House was Wilford Brimley, who passed away not too long ago, who was 13 years older than Deidre Hall, but still, he played her father-in-law on the show. Shannon Doherty was in that show as her older daughter before Beverly Hills 90210, and Deidre Hall initially reacted without concern on playing on 2 television series at the same time, explaining that she filmed Our House on weekdays while taping Days of Our Lives on Saturdays, so there was no conflict. However, she did leave Days of Our Lives in 1987 when it did become too difficult to coordinate her primetime and daytime shooting schedules. Our House was canceled in 1988, though she did not immediately return to Days of Our Lives. Deidre Hall has won many awards for her portrayal of Dr. Marlena Evans, including 2 Best Actress Soapy Awards in 1982 and 1983. And Hall has won 3 Soap Opera Digest Awards for Outstanding Lead Actress in 1984, 1985, and in 1995. Big whoop. No, I'm not saying she's not a good actress. I'm just saying Soap Opera Digest Awards, is that really a thing? I guess it is. I guess it is to someone that likes soap, so I shouldn't say that and be a smartass and be dismissive of people that are fans of that stuff, because, my God, soap operas have been on almost since the invention of television, and they're still going strong. Deidre Hall was the first recipient of the Outstanding Contribution by an Actress/Actor Award in 1986, in addition to receiving a shared award with Drake, not the rapper Drake, but Drake Hogstein in 2005 for Favorite On-Screen Couple, John and Marlena. Those are the character names that they both played. Deidre Hall's been nominated for a Daytime Emmy 3 times, and she has a twin sister named Andrea. Moving on, this is a classic individual here. Back on Halloween Day, 1912, on a Thursday, the love of Roy Rogers' life was born. Dale Evans. She was born in Texas with the birth name Lucille Woods Smith. After beginning her career singing at the radio station where she was employed as a secretary, Dale Evans had a productive career as a jazz, swing, and big band singer that led to a screen test and a contract with 20th Century Fox Studios, whom Disney bought not too long ago. Dale Evans gained exposure on radio as the featured singer for a little while on the Edgar Bergen Charlie McCarthy Show. Throughout this early period, Dale Evans went through 2 additional failed marriages. First, with August Wayne Johns from 1929 to 1935, then with accompanist and arranger Robert Dale Butts from 1937 to 1946. And neither marriage produced children. During her time at 20th Century Fox, the studio promoted her as the unmarried supporter of her teenage quote-unquote brother, Tommy, who was actually her son, Tom Fox Jr., a deception that continued through her divorce from Butts in 1946 and her development as a cowgirl co-star to Roy Rogers at Republic Studios. From 1951 to 1957, Dale Evans and Roy Rogers starred in the highly successful television series The Roy Rogers Show, in which they continued their cowboy and cowgirl roles, with her riding her trusty buckskin horse, Buttermilk. Alice Van Springsteen served as a double for both Dale Evans and Gail Davis, the actress who starred in the syndicated series Annie Oakley, often performing such tasks as tipping over wagons and jumping railroad tracks. In addition to her successful TV shows, more than 30 films, and some 200 songs, Dale Evans wrote the well-known song Happy Trails. In later episodes of the program, she was outspoken in her Christianity, telling people that God would assist them with their troubles and imploring adults and children to turn to him for guidance. In late 1962, the couple co-hosted a comedy western variety program, The Roy Rogers and Dale Evans Show, which aired on ABC. It was canceled after just 3 months, losing in the ratings to the first season of The Jackie Gleason Show on CBS, which had been on the Dumont Network previously. And, of course, that's for the skits for the Honeymooners were done live on Saturday night by Mr. Saturday Night, Jackie Gleason. So that's too bad their show only lasted 3 months. It just had bad scheduling, obviously. I wish the network had moved it around because they were so talented and so great together. Awesome chemistry, obviously. For her contribution to radio, Dale Evans has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame at 6638 Hollywood Boulevard. She received a second star at 1737 Vine Street for her contribution to the television industry. In 1976, Dale Evans was inducted into the Western Performers Hall of Fame at the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. In 1995, Dale Evans was inducted into the National Cowgirl Museum and Hall of Fame located in Fort Worth, Texas. In 1997, Dale Evans was inducted into the Texas Trail Hall of Fame. Couple quick clips. She had a magnificent voice. I'll play a little bit of her singing in just a moment. But before that, here's a little tease to something called Dale Evans Beyond the Happy Trails. And by the way, she could make hush puppies like nobody's business, reportedly. She was a good cook as well as a talented performer. So this documentary here.
They galloped out of the Hollywood West and into our hearts. And those dusty memories are still alive for many of us. They left us truly happy trails. Leonard Sly and Francis Smith, better known as Roy Rogers and Dale Evans, the king of the cowboys, the queen of the West.
They are so famous that you don't have to say Roy Rogers and Dale Evans, just say Roy and Dale.
One of the most successful Hollywood movie couples in history.
Music, I think, is what brought them together.
With over 100 films to their credits, a successful radio show, and a hit TV show. But in the shadows, behind the spotlights, this famous couple faced some of the most heart-ripping tragedies any human could bear. It rattled their faith and demanded everything they could possibly muster. In the end, Roy Rogers and Dale Evans discovered a powerful overcoming courage far beyond a typical Hollywood ending. Most times, especially in the early days, the main spotlight was on Roy Rogers. But the secret of his success was the spunk and the spirit of Dale Evans.
She had the spark that people were drawn to.
This is her story. Dale Evans, Beyond the Happy Trails.
Pretty cool. Now let's listen to her angelic voice. And I think it's cool she sang, wow, Happy Trails. Now here's a clip where she sings I Love the West from The Bells of San Angelo, 1947. I love this clip. This is awesome.
I love the West. Oh, ain't that pretty? Cookie. Oh.
He's reading a note.
Isn't it bad enough that he writes books?
May I see that, please? I love the West.
How corny can it get? Well, maybe you'd like to sing it with us.
Well, perhaps I might if it won't annoy Mr. Rogers too much.
Oh, don't mind me. Well, that's fine. What's your favorite key?
G.
Key of G, boys. Folks, can I have your attention just a minute? In honor of Lee Madison, who isn't here, Miss Clifford is going to sing one of his songs for you.
I love the West, the heavenly, heavenly West. In the very heart of me, it's so much a part of me, and I ever shall return to this land for which I yearn. This seems to bother Mr. Rogers a bit, so perhaps we'd better do it his way. A little faster, please. I love the West, the heavenly, heavenly West, where the skies are bluer and the gals are truer, where the grass is greener and the varmints meaner, where life is rougher and the men are tougher. That's why I love the West. And I love the range. Oh, give me the range for a change, where the wind keeps blowing and the cactus growing, where the sun keeps shining and the gals are pining, where the light is lighter and the boys are brighter. That's why I love the West, where the hero, strong and silent, keeps the little gal from harm. Fighting 20,000 Indians or paying off the mortgage on the farm. Yes, I love the West, for everything's best in the West, where the days are hotter and the nights are colder, where the young are younger and the older, older, where the high is higher and the wet is wetter, where the dry is drier and the best is better, where a man's a man and a rootin' tootin' son of the range who comes on.
She held her gun up to the ceiling and it fired. Part of the ceiling come crashing down. Came crashing down.
Have you got a hunting license? Roy.
There we go. That was great. Now here's another quick clip. They were just such an awesome couple. Here's Roy Rogers, yeah. Happy trails to you.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then.
Who cares about the clouds if we're together?
Just sing a song and bring the sunny weather. Happy trails to you till we meet again.
Some trails are happy ones.
Others trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Who cares about the clouds if we're together? Just sing a song and bring the sunny weather. Happy trails to you till we meet again. Happy trails to you.
And I talk about this show a lot, or I used to, when I did the show with Al Hardy and with Tom, that I love this silly old 80s cheesy show called The Fall Guy, starring Lee Majors, which aired from 1981 to 1986. But they had two great Roy Rogers specials in season 2 and season 3 of that show. Lasted 5 seasons. One was called Happy Trails, and one was called King of the Cowboys, which had his son Dusty. And they had showed a lot of clips, and they reunited a lot of Western stars, like Pat Buttram from Green Acres and a lot of Western movies. And I could go on and on. The Star of the Virginian. They were really well done, and I have them all on film, and those prints were hard to find because the Western film collectors scooped those up. People that don't give a crud about Fall Guy, but they love Roy Rogers, wanted those. And, man, it took me a while to find those to complete my set. Another thing about Fall Guy, and I'll get back to Dale Evans here, there's only one more Halloween birthday left, and then I'm going to blow out the candle of my jack-o'-lantern and turn on the lights, because I intended to do all this yesterday, but I just ran out of time, and I wanted to watch the World Series and get ready for the trick-or-treaters and stuff. But Fall Guy turns 40 on November 4th, 2021. That was when the 2-hour pilot movie aired. And I'll save it for, I'll do something, a brief thing on Fall Guy probably on November 4th. But anyway, let's see. Roy Rogers married Dale on New Year's Eve, 1947. And sadly, Roy Rogers passed away on Monday, July 6th, 1998, at age 86 from heart failure. Dale passed away some years after that, also from heart failure on Wednesday, February 7th, 2001, at age 88. She was a great actress, singer, and songwriter, and the third wife of singing cowboy Roy Rogers with his horse Trigger. Rest in peace to both of them. A couple more Halloween birthdays, and then move on to November 1st. Sally Kirkland is 80. She turned 80 on Halloween Day 2021. She was born in 1941 on Halloween in New York City, which was a Friday. But I remember her, a lot of people know her from the movies. I remember her from a great, Incredible Hulk episode, a very special episode about child abuse. It was filmed during season 1 in late 1977, but it didn't air until season 2. The network held onto it for sweeps weeks for ratings, and the episode was titled A Child in Need. She played a battered wife in that, and this drunk a-hole husband was beating his wife and son, and David Banner, played by Bill Bixby, befriends the kid, and it's a really good episode, and man, she was good in that, and they really made her up. It was very realistic, like with bruises and blood on her face, and it was a really, really good episode, A Child in Need. Moving on, former Atlanta Brave, Fred McGriff is 58. He was born in Tampa, Florida on Halloween Day, 1963, which was a Thursday that year. So now I'm going to flip on the lights if you're watching in the Nostalgic Podblast on demand in our YouTube channel, or on demand or live in our Facebook group, the Nostalgic Podblast, and flip the switch to November 1st, 2021 birthdays and November 2nd, 2021. Then we'll talk about other stuff, not just birthdays, like my snack of the week, nostalgic snack of the week, and the nostalgic toy of the week. And then I'm going to do taglines with you, my little game where I name the tagline or slogan, if you will, and you name the product. And this time, I'm going to talk about candy, not chocolate. We did chocolate bars last time. This will be the other kind of candies, like sweet tarts and things. Oh, I gave one away. There we go. Got a little feedback now. Trying to cut on the lights as I'm live. It's kind of a bitch to do this by myself. I'll blow that candle out in a minute when I'm playing a clip for the jack-o'-lantern there. Okay. Moving on to November 1st birthdays. You know what? And I didn't play. I better do it now. I never played my little signature guitar. Let me play that a little bit in the background for birthdays. My happy birthday to you birthday song. Again, for those tuning in late, I meant to do this actually on the Halloween day itself, but I got sidetracked by the Braves and trick or treaters. So sorry about that. That's why I'm doing this in November, long after Halloween is over. Here we go. Going to look at some Facebook comments in a minute and see if anyone's out there commenting. Let's see. God dang it. Here it is. Bear with me. Wait for it. I should have this queued up in my board. That's what I'm going to do so there's not these awkward delays anymore. There we go. November 1st birthdays include Jenny McCarthy, born in Chicago, Illinois in 1972. On Wednesday, November 1st, 72, she turned 49 on November 1st. And the frontman Anthony of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, he hit 59 years of age on November 1st. He was born November 1st, 1962 in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Remember the Red Hot Chili Peppers? Anthony Kiedis there. Lyle Lovett. He's a very interesting individual and singer. He was born Friday, November 1st, 1957. And of all places, of course, where do you think he would be born? What state? It figures he was born in, because we're just coming off the World Series. He was born in Houston, Texas. And the Houston Astros were in the World Series against my Atlanta Braves. But everyone remembers this most about Lyle Lovett, that he married actress Julia Roberts after meeting her on the set of The Player. And following a 3-week romance, they eloped and married in June 1993 in Marion, Indiana. In March 1995, they divorced after less than 2 years of marriage. People magazine reported that the breakup was caused by career demands, and they remained friends afterwards. Larry Flint, this is so controversial, what I'm going to tell you about the guy that shot him, the racist scumbag. And Larry Flint was a scumbag himself, but I don't think anyone deserves to be shot and paralyzed. But Larry Flint was born Sunday, November 1st, 1942 in Lakeville, Kentucky. He was shot and crippled, as we said, or as I said, in Lawrenceville, Georgia in 1978. He passed away on February 10th, 2021 at age 78. Hey, that's the year he was shot. 78. Shot in 78, died in 78. Sad. Now, about that shooting, on Monday, March 6th, 1978, during a legal battle related to obscenity charges in Gwinnett County, Georgia, Larry Flint and his lawyer were shot on the sidewalk in Lawrenceville by this terrible person and racist, Joseph Paul Franklin. The shooting left Larry Flint partially paralyzed with permanent spinal cord damage, and he was always in the need of a wheelchair after that. Flint's injuries caused him constant, excruciating pain, and he was addicted to painkillers until multiple surgeries deadened the affected nerves. He also suffered a stroke caused by one of several drug overdoses of his medication. He recovered, but he had pronunciation difficulties thereafter. He had trouble talking. Flint's attorney was also very seriously wounded. And remember the movie The People vs. Larry Flint, starring Woody Harrelson and the lead singer of Hole, Courtney Love? And a quick Courtney Love story. I saw her live in concert at Music Midtown years ago, and some jackass threw a bottle at her head, like a Coke bottle. I think it was almost empty, but a plastic bottle, and it missed her, thank goodness. But she went on this complete rant. She had just talked about how cool Little 5 Points is, which is kind of a punk rock part of the Atlanta, Georgia metropolitan area near Moreland Avenue. And anyway, she goes, God, I won't say what she said, but she said, I was just talking about how great your stinking city is. I'll never come here again. Screw you. And she didn't say screw. Anyway, I'll never forget that memory. But she was in that movie playing the lover of Larry Flint. Courtney Love there. And people were so mad at her, thinking she was the cause of Kurt Cobain's suicide. But I don't think that's entirely fair. But you make up your own mind. You have a right to your own opinion. So this psycho white supremacist douchebag that shot Larry Flint, he's also a serial killer. He shot another person, Vernon Jordan. He targeted other black and Jewish people in a killing spree from 1977 to 1980. He was violently opposed to the mixing of the races. He confessed to the shootings many years later, claiming he was outraged by an interracial photo shoot in Hustler magazine about Larry Flint. And about Larry Flint and his Hustler pictorial, he says, I saw that interracial couple having sex, and it just made me sick. I threw the magazine down and thought, I'm going to kill that guy, meaning Larry Flint. So screw you, you psycho. Anyway, screw you and your whole family. Moving on. Homely Marsha Wallace was born in Creston, Iowa on Sunday, November 1st, 1942. Unfortunately, she passed away at 70 years of age on Friday, October 25th, 2013 from pneumonia and other causes. She finally did get married to a gentleman named Dennis Hawley in 1986. They divorced in 1992. And she's also known for playing a preschool teacher on the show Full House. And she was the voice of elementary school teacher Edna Crabapple on the animated series The Simpsons, for which she won an Emmy in 1992. Her character was retired, her animated character, after her death, but sporadically appears through archive recordings and remembrance, best ofs and retrospectives. She knew she wasn't attractive. I shouldn't call her homely. I joke, homely Marsha Wallace. Her name's Marsha Wallace, but she joked herself on game shows like Match Game with self-depreciating humor at her own expense that she wasn't attractive. She knows she wasn't. I mean, look at me. The only reason I say that is because I'm homely as well. By the way, stupid joke I wrote. You remember Claire Danes and the show Homeland on Showtime? It's a great, great show. Well, I used to joke Homeland, more like Homely Land. I'm kidding. She's cute. I mean, again, look at me. Look at me. I'm ugly as sin. But of course, Marsha Wallace is best known as the receptionist Carol on the Bob Newhart Show from the 70s, which ran for 6 seasons and 142 episodes were produced, starting on Saturday, September 16th, 1972, through Saturday, August 26th, 1978 on CBS. And the last episode of the classic Bob Newhart Show, ironically enough, was titled Happy Trails to You. We just talked about Dale Evans writing that classic song. Don't you love the continuity? Well, man, she missed it by 1 day. And you'll get it when I reveal who this person is in this clip. But if only this person were born on Halloween, it would have been just perfect. Let me get this for you now, jeez. She was born Monday, November 1st, 1926 in East Chicago, Indiana. Let's see, where at? Oh, and at the beginning of the show, I played Double Dutch Bus, that song. I love that song growing up, and there was a parody. I'm digressing here. There was a parody song on Atlanta radio. I think Steve McCoy put it together for Z93 in like over 40 years ago, in like 1981 or something, or 1980. And it was so funny because it was Mr. Rogers from the, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood singing the Double Dutch Bus. And he's like, can you say bus? I knew you could. And he's like, I'd probably have a hole if I wore some socks. Remember how Mr. Rogers wouldn't wear socks? The way they put it together, the way it's produced, it was a funny parody of that song, Double Dutch Bus, but I've always loved that song. That's why I played that at the top. I don't know why I had to flash back to that. And I have that on tape somewhere, that Mr. Rogers singing the Double Dutch Bus. I always got tickled by that. So getting back to the actress who should have been born on Halloween, but she actually was known for so many more things in this film. But let's play this clip now. Let's see if it'll let me do. Yeah, here we go. Here she is. Should have been born on Halloween.
my Lord. So young. So pretty. Oh, what monster could have done this? Bill's out there. Oh, God, this place. Steve should never have opened this place again. There's been too much trouble here. Did you know that a young boy drowned the year before those two others were killed? The counselors weren't paying any attention. They were making love while that young boy drowned. His name was Jason. I was working the day that it happened, preparing meals. Here, I was the cook. Jason should have been watched every minute. He was...
You're showing your ass, lady.
He wasn't a very good swimmer. We can go now, dear. I think we should wait for Mr. Christie. That's not necessary. I don't understand.
Flashback of her boy drowning, obviously.
I am Jason. I am. You see, Jason was my son, and today is his birthday. Where's Mr. Christie? Oh, I couldn't let them open this place again.
Could I?
Could I? Not after what happened. Oh, my sweet, innocent Jason.
Look what you did to him!
My child.
I'll get you now.
You let him drown.
That's the best
You
part.
never paid any attention. Look what you did to him.
Over the
Look
top.
what you did to him.
See, it's really the music that makes it scary, I think. Another quick clip. This is very, very brief. I love it when the bodies are flying around. The reveals towards the end of that movie is right before she loses her head. Let me get it here. The music's just awesome by Harry Mandrafini. God dang it. I'm getting pissed off, this thing. Where the fuck is it? Excuse my language. She opens up her Jeep, and there's Annie with her slit throat by Tom Savini. I like that music. Good revenge movie. And of course, she gets hers, Mrs. Voorhees, played by Betsy Palmer. She should have been born on Halloween, but she was born November 1st. I'll play a little bit more, because I dig that music. Those strings.
Kill her, Mommy. Kill her.
Yep. So, she died in real life with her head intact, because she's beheaded in the movie. Fittingly, on a Friday. On Friday, May 29th, 2015, at age 88. But I've got to tell you, Betsy Palmer was gorgeous in the 1950s and 60s on live game shows. And game shows like I've Got a Secret, which plays on Buzzer, the Buzzer Network, which I highly recommend. But people in Gen X only know her for that one role. And she was in Friday the 13th and Friday the 13th Part 2 in a hallucination/flashback scene. New scenes that were shot for that film. And she was kind of ashamed of those movies, Betsy Palmer. She did it for the money. She admitted that. She was like, they paid me well, Paramount Pictures and the production company, so I took the money and did the role. But, you know, again, you wouldn't believe how she looked different as a young woman. It's not that she aged or anything. I'm not being an ageist, but look up some of, it's probably on YouTube as well, if not on Buzzer. I've Got a Secret, Betsy Palmer. She hosted, she actually broke new roads for being the first woman host. She hosted the show. Anyway, but moving on, and this ties into Georgia, if anyone out there is in the Atlanta, Georgia area, Bill Anderson is 84. He was born Monday, November 1st, 1937 in Columbia, South Carolina. He was a country music singer, songwriter, and record producer. Bill Anderson was raised in Decatur, Georgia, and began composing songs while in high school. And while enrolled in college, he wrote the song City Lights, which later became a major hit for Ray Price in 1958. Bill Anderson's songwriting led to his first recording contract with Decca Records the same year. Anderson began having major hits shortly thereafter. In 1963, Bill Anderson released his most successful single in his entire recording career, titled Still. The song became a major country pop crossover hit and was followed by a series of top 10 hits. These songs included I Love You Drops, I Get the Fever, and Wild Weekend. His songs were being notably recorded by other artists. In 1964, Connie Smith had her first major hit with his composition, Once a Day. In 1971, Cal Smith had a #1 single with Bill Anderson's The Lord Knows I'm Drinking. Now, here's something, here's a rumor I'm going to dispel right now. I was under the impression, and a lot of people around my age were under the impression, that the restaurant, this is a southeastern thing, so if you're in California, you probably won't know what this place was, or you won't recognize the name. Po Folks, a fried chicken and southern food restaurant chain. I always thought that Bill Anderson was the co-owner of it and that he was the co-founder of it, and apparently that's not the case. Po Folks Fried Chicken. In the 1980s, Bill Anderson served as a spokesperson. I knew that for Po Folks restaurant chain because I'd seen him in the TV ads back then when I was a little kid. But the Po Folks restaurant chain, whose name was taken from his 1961 hit song, that's the connection with Bill Anderson. Anderson signed a 3-year contract with the restaurant company to serve as their national spokesperson, appearing in radio and television commercials. In addition, Bill Anderson signed off on allowing the company to use his photos and signatures to endorse their products. He then partnered with the vice president to help franchise the company. Country artist Conway Twitty was selected as a third partner to also help with the franchise. And remember that song by Conway Twitty? I remember, hello, darling. Nice to see you. It's been a long time, just as lovely as you used to be. I thought that was kind of ageist, just as lovely as you used to be. Isn't that the lyric? I might be misremembering the lyric. But Conway Twitty was selected as a third partner for Po Folks to help with the franchising. However, several individual restaurants encountered financial struggles, which resulted in legal fees that Bill Anderson had to pay. In addition, the company was being bought out by the larger Crystal fast food chain. That's with a K, Crystal fast food chain. And there, Crystal makes, it's like White Castle, depending on what part of the country you're in. If you're in the United States of America, they're like little slider hamburgers. And I like White Crystal better. Whenever I'm in Nashville or Las Vegas, Nevada, and I see a Crystal, look, it's not the healthiest thing in the world, but I love those little burgers. They're better than Crystal. And Crystal's having some financial troubles right now. They've been filing bankruptcy. Anyway, getting back on track with this information, Bill Anderson was forced to pay back fees he owed towards the company, Po Folks, causing Anderson to nearly declare bankruptcy himself. However, with the support of Conway Twitty, Anderson helped pay off the company's financial entanglements. Quote, even as it stood, my little foray into the restaurant business wiped out a large chunk of my life savings, he later said. Man, this makes me sad because here in 2021, Folks Southern Kitchen, formerly named Po Folks, I guess poor people complained. I don't know why they named it. That was a good brand, Po Folks, spelled P-O for Po, not P-O-O-R. It doesn't say poor, it's Po Folks. But they changed it to Folks Southern Kitchen. But they closed all of its locations permanently in 2021. There was one left out in Powder Springs, Georgia, and I think one in McDonough, Georgia, I think. And there was one near me where I live. I live kind of near Windy Hill and Cobb Parkway in Cobb County, near where the Atlanta Braves play at Truist Park. And there was a location there that closed in 2021, and it was so convenient. I didn't eat it all the time because I try not to eat too much fried food, but they had incredible sweet tea at Po Folks, Folks Southern Kitchen. I still call it Po Folks. Their fried chicken was Blue Ribbon award winning, and they had like country fried steak. Now, yeah, I could go to Cracker Barrel, but Cracker Barrel's okay, but it's not the same. Folks was great. It was a good value for the money, and they always had like just good deals over there. And I like their fried okra. I just love that damn place. It was super Southern food, and it's a shame. It's a thing of the past. All these things I like either get bought by Disney or they go away entirely. Damn. Oh, I also like a place similar to this in terms of Southern cooking that's no longer here, but it's in Colorado, called Black Eyed Pea. The Black Eyed Pea restaurant was kind of like Folks, but it had a better menu variety, and they had an awesome turkey meal. Making myself hungry. It had all the fixings. It really tasted like a Thanksgiving meal prepared by Mom. It was great. Now watch Cracker Barrel go under. We'll see. I have some friends that moved to California, and they always tell me, man, I miss Southern cooking. You can't get that stuff out of here. But I did some research on the Black Eyed Pea restaurant chain, and I found that it was founded in 1975 by Dallas, Texas restaurateur Gene Street and Phil Cobb. The chain eventually expanded across the American South with 130 locations by the time it was sold to Unigate PLC for about $65 million. In early 1997, Den America, spelled D-E-N like a living room or a den, Den America purchased the Black Eyed Pea restaurant chain from Unigate PLC. On Monday, November 12th, 2001, Den America, now operating as Phoenix Restaurant Group, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. I think September 11th did them in when the economy tanked after the 9/11 attacks. That must have really negatively impacted their business. I'm sure it did. So anyway, when they filed for bankruptcy protection, this resulted in the closing of 48 Black Eyed Pea locations, reducing the chain to 44 locations, not including the Colorado locations whose owners were in better financial shape. In 2002, under new management, Black Eyed Pea was reformatted as the, quote, country casual, unquote, chain by adding more appetizers and seafood offerings along with more grilled items instead of fried items, as well as an increased emphasis on its bar and booze. In December 2008, former corporate employees Stephen Shaw and Alan Lotlin, along with Steve's brother Jim Shaw, purchased all of the rights to the Colorado locations of the Black Eyed Pea. The three began changing menu items and pushing more advertising. Here in the state of Georgia, to my knowledge, there's no more Black Eyed Pea locations. I guess I need to move to Colorado to get my fix. A Black Eyed Pea, that is. Moving on to November 2nd. November 2nd birthdays. David Schwimmer, best known as Ross from Friends, was born Wednesday, November 2nd, 1966. And he is double nickels, or 55. And think about it. You only have 9 times in your life when you have a double age. So if you're lucky, that is. Hopefully you'll make it to 99. So, of course, when you're 11, there's double ones, double twos when you're 22, double threes at 33, double fours when you hit age 44, and then double nickels at 55, double sixes when you hit 66, double sevens when you're 77, double eights at 88, double Ds at Dolly Parton. What? I'm sorry. I had my mind on something else. Double eights at 88, double nines at 99, and the next thing you could try out for are triples, I guess, with, if you're extremely lucky, 111 years old. Triple digits, triple ones, 111. Who are we talking about? Oh, yeah, David Schwimmer. Okay, he was born in Flushing, New York City in New York. And he was married to some guy named Zoe Buckman from 2010 to 2017. I'm kidding. Obviously, that was a female, Zoe Buckman. They had no children. In 2016, he starred as lawyer Robert Kardashian in The People versus O.J. Simpson, for which he received his second Primetime Emmy Award nomination for a dramatic role this time. And he was nominated for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Limited Series or Movie. And how about that? I mean, O.J. lawyers in real life all got a death sentence, except for Robert Shapiro. They're pretty much all gone. And it just figures that the Kardashians' dad was a defender of O.J. Simpson. Anyway, I digress. Artist Steve Ditko was born on Wednesday, November 2nd, 1927 in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. This is the guy that created The Amazing Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, among other characters. Upon graduating from Greater Johnstown High School in 1945, He enlisted in the U.S. Army on Friday, October 26, 1945, and did military service in Allied occupied Germany, where he drew comics for an Army newspaper. I think it's odd how many of the artists, especially pen and ink artists and cartoonists, they look like the people they draw. And I guess it kind of makes sense because a lot of artists are introspective, and that must be the reason. But Steve Ditko looked exactly like he drew, like the people he drew and the characters he drew. Very creative guy. So Steve Ditko, as I said, was a comic book artist and writer, best known as the artist and co-creator, along with Stan Lee, of the Marvel Comics superheroes Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, and also Speedball, which was a really lame character he created in the late 1980s while trying to have a comeback. But his art looked kind of dated, you know, kind of like Jack Kirby. When Jack Kirby came back to Marvel Comics in the 70s, in the mid 70s, I don't know, like there were so many more sophisticated artists that had come along, like Neil Adams. It's not that Jack Kirby's art was bad. Don't misunderstand. He's a classic. But I just thought, like, I didn't like the Eternals, for instance, which Jack Kirby created and wrote and drew. Well, he started writing comics in the 60s. He just drew them and co-created characters like the Fantastic Four with Stan Lee. I could go down the line. Silver Surfer. He's the best. He's a genius. But I didn't like the Eternals comic series. It didn't last that long. I think there's only like 18 issues in one annual of the original, and then they brought it back as a 1985 12-issue miniseries. I can't wait to see the movie. I'm going to see it with Al Hardy, and we're going to review it live for what it's worth. I'm excited about it. Angelina Jolie stars, as I mentioned before, and we'll see. We'll see if it's any good, because I just wasn't into the comics. That's just me. But hey, for the camera, I don't have that many graded comics. Here's a graded issue 2. That's the second appearance of the Eternals from 1976. Sorry, fistfulofradio.com listeners. I know this won't mean squat, but it's in this hard plastic case, and it was graded by the top comic book grading company in 8.5, but I think it looks like at least a 9.2. I don't see anything wrong with it. But anyway, I digress. I have the whole series. That's just an extra one I had graded there. All right, so where was I? With Steve Ditko. Oh, and his comebacks. Yeah, I was talking about how Jack Kirby came back to Marvel after he left for DC. Well, Steve Ditko did the same thing. He left Marvel Comics and then came back in the late 80s, and he created Speedball, which was just kind of a silly character. And he also drew Rom Space Knight, which he didn't create. This was a Parker Brothers toy character that Marvel Comics adapted to comic book form, and it was like a robot. And Marvel does not own the rights to Rom Space Knight, nor does Disney yet. But surely they'll buy it up like they're buying up every other damn thing I like. But anyway, Steve Ditko studied under Batman artist Jerry Robinson at the Cartoonist and Illustrator School in New York City. He began his professional career in 1953, working in the studio of Joe Simon and Jack Kirby. Beginning as an inker, and what an inker does is just like it sounds. They ink over the pencil drawings of the penciler artists. Most of the artists, some of the artists ink their own stuff, like John Byrne eventually did in the 80s for Marvel Comics. I know to the layman out there, to someone that's not into comics, this is going to be extremely dull and boring. I'm just trying to flesh out some details for you. But he began as an inker, inking other people's pencil art, and he came under the influence of artist Mort Meskin. During this time, Steve Ditko began his long association with Carlton Comics, where he did work in the genres of science fiction, horror, and mystery. He also co-created the superhero Captain Atom as an atom bomb in 1960. During the 1950s, Steve Ditko also drew for Atlas Comics, a forerunner to Marvel Comics, and he went on to contribute much significant work to Marvel Comics. In 1966, after being the exclusive artist on The Amazing Spider-Man and the Doctor Strange feature in a book called Strange Tales, which would have two stories, two different heroes in one, started with the Human Torch from the Fantastic Four. Anyway, Strange Tales. And then Doctor Strange was took over as one of the main characters in Strange Tales, as well as Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., and others. Anyway, in 1966, after being exclusive artist on The Amazing Spider-Man and the Doctor Strange feature in Strange Tales, Ditko left Marvel for unclear reasons. Steve Ditko continued to work for Carlton and also DC Comics. DC is the competitor of Marvel, and DC is the more established brand of superheroes like Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman. Think the Super Friends cartoon show. All those guys are DC Comics. I think most people know that, but just in case you don't. Aquaman, that's DC, which Warner Brothers owns. Warner Brothers owns DC Comics and has for a long, long time. So Ditko continued to work for Carlton and also DC Comics, including a revamp of the long-running character, the Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle, he had a comeback. Anyway, I'm going off on all sorts of places. I need to get back on track here. And Steve Ditko created The Question, and he co-created some of these guys, The Creeper and Shade, The Changing Man, and Hawk and Dove. Steve Ditko also began contributing to small independent comic book publishers, where he created a character titled Mr. A, a hero reflecting on the influence of Ayn Rand's philosophy of objectivism. Steve Ditko largely declined to give interviews, a very private man, saying he preferred to communicate through his work. Steve Ditko was inducted into the comic book industry's Jack Kirby Hall of Fame in 1990 and into the Will Eisner Award Hall of Fame in 1994. Steve Ditko died at age 90 on Friday, February 29th, 2018. But his artwork certainly lives on forever. God bless you. And that's the great thing about musicians, actors, artists. Now, musicians and artists are better because they create their own stuff. They're not just reading and performing words written on a page by someone else. It's not just pretending. They're really creating something, and they create something that will live beyond their lifetimes. I have such respect for musicians and artists. Moving on to another birthday on November 2nd, Stephanie Powers turned 79 on November 2nd, 2021. She was born Monday, November 2nd, 1942 in Hollywood, California, and she was the girl from U.N.C.L.E. Her character name was April Dancer on that NBC Tuesday night show, which aired at 7:30 in the evening, starting September 13th, 1966 until August 29th, 1967. The day the running stopped. That was my weak-ass impression of the narrator of The Fugitive, who starred in Jake and the Fat Man and Cannon. He narrated The Fugitive. And that was the day of the final episode of The Fugitive, which held the ratings record. It broke the record that the Beatles on Ed Sullivan held on August 29, 1967. And it remained the number one rated hour of television until Dallas, November 21st, 1980, beat that record with the reveal of Who Shot JR. And then the final MASH beat the Dallas record. Anyway, I'm all over the place here. But The Girl from U.N.C.L.E. aired from September 13, 1966 until August 29th, 1967, the same night as The Final Fugitive on another network. No, on another network. ABC was Fugitive, NBC was The Girl from U.N.C.L.E. So what did UNCLE stand for in The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and The Girl from U.N.C.L.E.? Well, that stood for the United Network Command for Law and Enforcement. The reason the show didn't do well, it wasn't anything Stephanie Powers did. It was on opposite a hit show, Combat, starring Vic Morrow, who was later beheaded in 1982 while filming Twilight Zone, the movie, in a segment directed by John Landis. It was in court for years and years, and he and two children were killed when a helicopter gag went awry and the Blades beheaded him. It's terrible. And he was the guy that played that terrible racist in that first segment in Twilight Zone, the movie. Why don't you hold this? This is America. Doesn't that mean anything anymore? He played a terrible, terrible character, saying the N-word, and he gets his comeuppance where he finds himself in Nazi Germany, and he's a Jewish person being hunted by the bastard Nazis, and then he finds himself in Vietnam as the Viet Cong. Like, everyone sees him as the Cong, VC, the United States of America Army soldiers and Marines. They see him as Viet Cong and go after him, and then he's transported into a black man, and the KKK have him surrounded. And man, I can't even repeat the line when he first shows up there that John Larroquette says, "We got you now." I ain't gonna even say it. You can imagine what he says. But The Girl from U.N.C.L.E. was opposite Combat and Doctari, two established shows. That's why it didn't fare well. Just a lot of shows like The Time Tunnel, which also lasted 1 year for only 30 episodes, were just opposite some really good shows. So Stephanie Powers, the birthday girl on November 2nd, also later co-starred with sketchy Robert Wagner. Natalie Wood, anyone? Well, it could have been Chris Walken. It may not have been Robert Wagner at all. I'm just saying the whole death of Natalie Wood is still a mystery, and still there's a lot of question marks about Robert Wagner and Christopher Walken, but people like to forget and bury their head in the sand. That's okay. So, Heart to Heart with Robert Wagner lasted for 5 seasons and 110 hourly episodes, plus a bunch of reunion movies in the 90s aired. The weekly show aired on ABC starting Saturday, August 29th, 1979. It's a 2-hour movie until Tuesday, July 31st, 1984. Now, before that, in between The Girl from U.N.C.L.E. and Heart to Heart, she played a sexy alien in some key episodes of The $6 Million Man. We can rebuild him. We have the technology. And she acted with, of all people, Andre the Giant, the wrestler, who's no longer with us. And Andre the Giant played the Sasquatch, Bigfoot, but he was a robot. In the story, she plays a good alien that comes to help humanity. And it was a 2-parter in season 3 of The $6 Million Man titled The Secret of Bigfoot. And the Sasquatch is a robot. And they sort of explain it in a sci-fi way. All these sightings throughout the years in real life of a Bigfoot or Sasquatch. In their take, it was a robot. And so she played this sexy outer space alien, friendly alien, Shalon, who controlled the robot Sasquatch. And then later, the next year, the season 4 premiere of $6 Million Man, they brought back the Sasquatch and Bigfoot in, terrible title, The Return of Bigfoot. Really, really original, but Andre the Giant wasn't available and moved on, so who did they get? They got the original Addams Family Lurch, Ted Cassidy, who wasn't as big. He was thin but tall, so he now took over the part as Bigfoot Sasquatch in the season 4 premiere, and which served as a crossover to The Bionic Woman season 2 premiere, titled The Return of Bigfoot Part 2, or was that a backdoor pilot, The Bionic Woman, A $6 Million Man? I get confused, but let me just briefly talk about what happened with The Bionic Woman. She was introduced towards the end of season 2 of $6 Million Man as Steve's high school sweetheart. She was a freshman. He was a senior, and there's jokes that he was robbing the cradle and all this stuff. And Lindsay Wagner was a relatively unknown actress. Well, she goes skydiving with him and is injured, and Steve begs Oscar Goldman to transform her into a bionic version, like he is, with bionic legs and an arm and an ear instead of an eye, to go undercover for missions for the U.S. government. He says she could get in places I could never get into, Oscar. Please don't let her die. And then at the end, her body rejects the bionics, and she died. She dies at the end of her 2-parter titled The Bionic Woman Parts 1 and 2, episodes of $6 Million Man. And the response from the fans was so great. They got so much fan mail that the writers said, shit, how can we bring her back? We killed her off. So they had it where she lived and she died on the operating table, and they made it where she survived, but she had severe brain damage from lack of oxygen, so she no longer remembered, because they couldn't have the main star marry her. They got to be different love interests. That's just how ratings work. You got to have sex appeal on the show, and you didn't want to have Steve married and tied down his character, to a relationship, even though he's really married to Farrah Fawcett in real life at that time. So they brought her back, and she didn't remember that she loved Steve, so that's how the writers got out of that one. And then eventually, in that same season, the 75 to 76 season, in January 76, The Bionic Woman was spun off into its own show. So I guess that's technically a spinoff. And then what happened there was both Wonder Woman and The Bionic Woman originally aired on ABC on the same network. And in that same year, at the end of the 1976 to 77 season, ABC canceled both shows. So both shows went to different networks. Wonder Woman went from ABC to CBS, starring Linda Carter, and went on for a couple more years. And Lindsay Wagner's The Bionic Woman went from ABC to NBC, but only lasted one more year. And so they couldn't do crossovers anymore. That's where I was going with this, because this Return of Bigfoot was a big crossover episode between both characters. But Steve Austin and $6 Million Man remained on ABC for a total of 5 seasons. And so no longer were they on the same network, so they couldn't do any more crossovers, which kind of sucked. But I remember they did the Fembots crossover, which was really cool. Part 1 was this Bionic Woman, Part 2 was a $6 Million Man, Part 3 was a Bionic Woman episode, and others. Anyway, so I love the crossover, and they've brought that back with like some of the CSI shows, and the CW network have done crossovers with The Flash and Supergirl, and I just love crossovers, and I'm glad that crossovers are back. So Let's see, is that all I had about Stephanie Powers? Yes, I do. And now this next guy, this is getting back to the comedy side and away from the sci-fi talk. When you hear this clip, you're going to know who this guy is. He was born November 2nd. This movie defined Generation X. It really did. This was the coming of age when we'd already hit puberty at this point in time, and we were dealing with our new emotions and stuff. And listen to this clip. This will bring back a lot of memories. And this actor, I'm going to talk about him next. You remember it.
D. F. 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 3 weeks we've been talking about the Platt Amendment. What are you people? On dope? A piece of legislation was introduced into Congress by Senator John Platt. It was passed in 1906. This amendment to our Constitution has a profound impact upon all of our... Where is Jeff Spicoli? I saw him earlier today near the first floor bathrooms. Is he still on campus? Anyone? Yes, Desmond?
I saw him by the food machines.
How long ago?
Right before class.
Okay. Bring him in. What is this fascination with truancy? What is it that gets inside your heads? There are some teachers in this school who look the other way at truants. It's a little game that you both play. They pretend they don't see you. You pretend you don't ditch. Now, who pays the price later?
Ditch.
You.
Wait a minute, there's no birthday party for me here.
Jeff Spicoli. Sean Penn.
Oh, Mr. Han.
What's the reason for your truancy?
Just couldn't make it on time.
You mean you couldn't or you wouldn't?
It was like a full crowd scene at the food line.
Food will be eaten on your time. Why are you continuously late for this class, Mr. Spicoli? Why do you shamelessly waste my time like this?
I don't know.
He's going to the chalkboard to write the words, I don't know, on the chalkboard.
I like that. I don't know. That's nice. Mr. Han, will I pass this class? Gee, Mr. Spicoli, I don't know. That's nice. I really like that. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to leave your words on this board for all my classes to enjoy. Giving you full credit, of course, Mr. Spicoli.
All right.
All right. I love it when he ordered the pizza. Anyway, Fast Time at Ridgemont High. And that reminds me, remember, it used to be that when TV versions of movies like that were R-rated, like Fast Times at Ridgemont High and National Lampoon's Vacation hit TV, they would actually they would film while it was in production scenes just for the TV version instead of just dubbing over or muting or whatever the bad word was, the profanity. They would film an alternate version. So I remember TBS, Ted Turner Station, would air the TV version of Fast Times at Ridgemont High, which had a whole bunch of extra scenes that were, some were good, some were just dumb, that didn't make that weren't intended for the theatrical cut of the movie, or some that were taken out of the theatrical cut for time. And I love those versions. It was really weird when that would happen. So that gentleman who played Mr. Hand, of course, is Ray Walston. Ray Walston. Happy heavenly birthday to Mr. Hand and favorite Martian Ray Walston, born Monday, November 2nd, 1914 in Laurel, Mississippi. As Uncle Martin on My Favorite Martian, he ran for 3 seasons, 2 seasons in black and white and the last in full color, Sunday nights at 7:30, and it started September 29th, 1963, and ended on September 4th, 1966. A total of 107 episodes were filmed. And get this, there were 37 episodes in the first year, 38 in the second season, and 32 episodes for the final year. Wow, man. Those are full seasons. Like I said earlier, today a full season is 22 episodes. back then, like even the Patty Duke show, I think season 1 had 37 episodes. I mean, just that's a lot. That's good. I mean, that's more year round. You had the summer break, summer hiatus, but they had less reruns back in those days. But I want to talk about another appearance that Ray Walston did in The $6 Million Man, since I talked about that show earlier just a moment ago. He played a character named Mr. Budge, a Scrooge-like role in an episode titled A Bionic Christmas Carol, which is just like it sounds, a retelling of the Charles Dickens classic. And it aired, I believe, on December 12th, 1976 on ABC. And what I liked about that one, he played a miserly guy who employed his nephew as a chauffeur, and it turns out his nephew, played by Dick Sargent II, Darren and Bewitched, embezzled money from him, got caught, and so he was making him work it off, the debt he owed, to pay back the money he embezzled plus interest, so he wouldn't call the cops. And there are a lot of good actors in that besides Ray Walston from notable pop culture roles. Adam Rich was in it just before Eight Is Enough started. He was the cute kid at the time who played Nicholas Bradford. He played the great nephew of Ray Walston's character, Mr. Budge. And Quinn Cummings was in it, who went on to do Family. And I talked about Family recently in the Podblast when I talked about Meredith Baxter Burney. She was, of course, she played Elise on Family Ties. Before that, Meredith Baxter Burney was in Family along with Christy McNichol. It was a drama by Laura Moore Productions, who went on to produce Dallas after Family. Anyway, where am I with this? The $6 Million Man, Bionic Christmas Carol, had Quinn Cummings, Adam Rich. Antoinette Bauer played the wife of Dick Sargent's character. It just had a lot of good characters, and it was a really well done Christmas episode. And Cozy TV, I mentioned earlier, a free over-the-air network. It's on in Atlanta. It's on Comcast. They pick it up, and it's free over the air. It's like a classic TV network. They play The $6 Million Man and Bionic Woman and a lot of good shows. So, but of course, with all these digital networks like MeTV, they're great networks, but it's not their fault. They're airing edited episodes for more commercial time. It's a business. They have to survive. That's why I like streaming. And I really wish, I always dreamed, I hate to put this out loud, I don't think I'd have the capital to start a network, but I always thought, for years, I thought, why isn't there a uncut classic TV network on cable? This is before streaming took off. Now they should do it streaming. Kind of they're doing that with Pluto TV. Talked about that in the last Podblast about the Baywatch channel. And there are specific streaming channels dedicated to just one show. But I say you should have one like dedicated to several shows. Like maybe Xfinity, since they want to get in the streaming game, will have all the Universal classic TV shows that they're playing on Cozy, but uncut, like the Munsters and all the way down the line. Anyway, getting back to Ray Walston, who had a birthday in heaven on November 2nd. He was nominated. Oh, let me talk about some other stuff he did. In 1988, he guest starred in an episode of the popular horror fantasy show Friday the 13th, the series, and he played a bitter, elderly comic book artist who uses a demonically cursed comic book to transform himself into a killer robot. And he murders his enemies in that show. In 1992, Ray Walston played the role of Candy in the big screen remake of John Steinbeck's Of Mice and Men with Gary Sinise and John Malkovich. You remember Gary Sinise from Forrest Gump as Lieutenant Dan. And Ray Walston would work alongside Gary Sinise again 2 years later in the miniseries adaptation of Stephen King's The Stand. Ray Walston was nominated 3 times for Best Supporting Actor in a drama series for his work on Picket Fences, winning twice in 1995 and 1996. CBS canceled the show after 4 seasons in 96. Ray Walston made a guest appearance in an episode of Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman. Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman. I was thinking of the star for half a second, who was introduced in the first Roger Moore James Bond movie, Live and Let Die. Jane Seymour. Introducing Jane Seymour. I love that one. You don't see that much anymore. Have a special credit. Like Jonathan Smith had special guest star in Lost in Space, and then Heather Locklear had special guest star in Melrose Place. I like the introducing credit that you used to see. You don't see that much anymore. It's kind of cool. And she had one, like I just said, in the first Roger Moore starring James Bond movie that he starred in there. So the episode of Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman that Ray Walston acted in was titled Remember Me, in which he portrayed the father of Jake Slicker, who was stricken with Alzheimer's disease. Ray Walston died of lupus on Monday, January 1st, 2001, at age 86. He was 86 at age 86. He's born on a Monday, and he died on a Monday also. But I loved him. Ray Walston, great actor, great character actor. And he also made a cameo in the Seventh Heaven episode titled 100, which aired on Monday, January 29th, 2001, 28 days after he died. Ray Walston's final film role was in the independent film titled Early Bird Special, which was released later that year after he died. Now, for nostalgia's sake, since we're a nostalgia show, and you're nostalgia lovers like I am, I'm going to play this. The instrumental theme to My Favorite Martian. Where are you, my little friend? There you are. There you are. Let's get it. Let's get it. That sounds like something from The Outer Limits. This started in 1963, as I mentioned, the same year as The Outer Limits debuted on ABC and another network. This was CBS. I'm going to just back it up to the beginning. Doesn't that musical note sounds like a Dominique Frontier Outer Limits music? I know that's a little too in-depth and nerdy, but... And Bill Bixby co-starred with Ray Walston in My Favorite Martian as Tim, who finds him, and he has the ruse that that's his uncle, but he's really a Martian, a friendly Martian. And again, that lasted 3 years. So moving on. Oh, Bill Bixby also, talk about someone who had a lot of hit shows like Michael Landon did that we talked about earlier tonight, whenever you might be listening on demand or overnight on fistfulofradio.com or in my regular time slot of 2 to 6 p.m. Saturday and Sunday on fistfulofradio.com or Monday night at 7 p.m. on fistfulofradio.com. Just like Michael Landon, Bill Bixby had a string of hits, The Incredible Hulk, My Favorite Martian, but not quite as long as Michael Landon. Michael Landon had some serious traction with long-running hit shows. But anyway, I like Bill Bixby a lot. He was one of my favorite actors. I like The Magician, which wasn't a long-running show from the early 70s and like 1971. That was a cool show. And he could perform magic in real life. Anyway, moving on to more birthdays. This is the last birthday I will do. I can hear your applause from here. I go on and on. This is like the biography channel. Keith Emerson, the keyboardist for Emerson, Lake and Palmer, was born on Thursday, November 2nd, 1944 in England. Keith Emerson wrote and arranged much of Emerson, Lake and Palmer's music on albums such as Tarkus in 71 and Brain Salad Surgery in 1973, combining his own original compositions with classical or traditional pieces of music adapted into a rock format. He was an amazing keyboard performer. He passed away on Friday, March 11th, 2016 at age 71 from a gunshot wound to the head. The medical examiner ruled Emerson's death a suicide, like Kurt Cobain, and concluded that he had also suffered from heart disease and from depression associated with alcohol. What a waste of God-given gifts to the world, but thankfully his finished works are truly immortal. Thank you, Keith Emerson. So that finally concludes this episode and, yes, the last episode's Birthdays on the Nostalgic Podblast. I wanted this to all be in one episode, but time got away from me. Item. I love this. I love when items surface, long-lost items. Vintage Lost in Space outfits lift off at a cosmic auction, a live auction. Right in the heart of the space-obsessed 1960s, a time period that was flush with the soon-to-be-realized fantasy of rockets, moon landings, and beyond Earth experiences, a television series debuted. It began, in fact, a year ahead of the original Star Trek, and its name and premise tantalized audiences seeking cosmic adventures that could be enjoyed from their couch. That show, Lost in Space, would run from 1965 to 1968 on CBS, while providing a multi-generational, often funny, and quite dramatic portrait of what it might be like to live in a far-flung existence across the universe. paraphrasing here. I'm going to interject. I'm reading an article. It did in the beginning anyway, but it just turned to crap. I mean, I still watched it and liked it. It was before my time. I mean, it aired in prime time before I was born, but I discovered it on TBS on reruns on Sunday morning. Before our family got cable, and in the Atlanta area anyway, all you'd have on Sunday morning were church shows, religious shows, which is boring to a child. It just is. And Ted Turner's Superstation 17, WTCG and WTBS offered a choice. And it was really, as from a child's perspective, this wasn't, the Saturday morning cartoons were the day before Sunday. So that was really the only thing that was decent were reruns of Hazel and then Lost in Space and classic shows like that. So anyway, Lost in Space, which would run from 65 to 68, yeah, it really opened the imagination. But I don't think it was dramatic. It was dramatic at first, but then it degenerated when Batman came along on another network, also produced by 20th Century Fox's Lost in Space was. It became sillier and sillier thanks to Jonathan Harris's ad libs, Dr. Smith, and it became the Smith, Will, and Robot Show, and sometimes Penny, and got away from the true star, Guy Williams, whose real name is Armando Catalina, and he was the Zorro in the Disney-produced series Zorro. And he could really engage in awesome fencing stunts, which he did sometimes on Lost in Space. And Guy Williams died alone. This is so sad in 1989 in Argentina. But his real name's Armando Catalina. But getting back to this auction in this article, if this was a series that shaped your space-loving spirit, or a show you discovered in more recent years like I did, don your shiny suit and rocket right to Heritage Auctions website for the Beverly Hills Bid House. And they have several Lost in Space artifacts on the auction block. Danger, Will Robinson. Danger, Will Robinson. We may want to bid on everything. Now, some of these fan-pleasing pieces include prop space helmets, clothing, and props like flashlights. And the flashlight, it looks like a traditional flashlight. I remember seeing it in the pilot called No Place to Hide, which was shot in January 1965. The first regular episode was shot in June 65. And what's significant about that pilot, which never aired, they used pieces of that footage in the first 5 episodes. It didn't have it didn't have the robot or Dr. Smith. Those were added later, those characters. But I remember there's a scene with the flashlight in the unaired pilot where they're exploring a cave, like on their planet they crash landed on. They're exploring a cave, and it's not a futuristic looking flashlight. But hell, it was supposed to be the year 1997 when they lifted off, so I got to cut them some slack. But it was 1965. What are you going to do? Let's see. The auction takes place over the first weekend of November 2021, but online bidding is open now. Check out starting bids and all of the details on the lots on the Heritage Auctions website. And Bill Mooney and Angela Cartwright. Bill Mooney played Will Robinson. Angela Cartwright played Penny Robinson, and she was also in The Sound of Music as one of the Van Trapp children, Brigitte Von Trapp, and she was Linda in the Danny Thomas Show, retitled Make Room for Daddy for syndicated reruns. They were there in person along with Marta Kristen, who played Judy, their older sister, the pretty blonde on Lost in Space, and they were reunited with their classic costumes and some of the props. And Bill and Angela were showcasing their new book, which I showed last time 2 times ago on the Podblast Live. I did an unboxing. They sent me their book. I bought it, to be clear. It's not like they gave it to me. I bought it, and I bought a deluxe copy. And it has tons of photos. I haven't started reading it yet. I need to. I've been so damn busy with the World Series and other things going on behind the scenes in my real life. But it's a great book, and they signed it. And I'm going to digress here, a live unboxing here on the Podblast. If you're listening at fistfulread.com, you didn't see it. You heard it, and I played a recent interview with Bill and Angela while I did the unboxing, so it wouldn't be like bad audio. But I unboxed it, and what I did was recently Bill and Angela did a social media post promoting their book. And so I linked the YouTube video of me unboxing it with a Q mark. I said, hey, at the 3-hour, 20-minute mark, because I have diarrhea of the mouth. I mean, I go for 4 hours sometimes. Can you believe it? It's the Pepsi. It's not drugs. And I did an unboxing. So I said, I love the book. Thank you for sending it to me so quickly. Can't wait to read it. And I said, if you're interested in seeing me unbox it, it's here at the 3-hour, 20-minute mark. So I posted it, and Bill Mooney himself gave it a like or a thumbs up on Facebook. And then I think 2 days later, I get a notice that my Facebook account has been restricted. for 7 days. I go, for what? And so I appealed it and didn't hear anything back. And it says, you violated our terms of service. And I'm like, what the hell? So the times that I did that link on Angela and Bill's, they said that was spam. They thought I was like some guy in Nigeria or something. They thought that was spam. And I mean, it wasn't intended as spam. I thought they would genuinely like to see, because I held up all the extra cards and the autographed still picture, and I had the specific cue mark. But I guess because it's part of my show, someone in Robot Land thought I was just shamelessly plugging my show, and maybe in a way I was, but really it was genuinely, I wanted them to see me unbox their awesome book. That was the true intention behind that. So, bots suck, man. And I talked in the show earlier about it doesn't matter. Nobody cares. Just some BS with another website. But that Heritage Auction is going to be awesome. The first weekend of November 2021. And it was neat to see Bill and Angela there with their costumes promoting their book. So that article was courtesy of NBC Los Angeles, and you can find the full article with photos at nbclosangeles.com. And the article, and I paraphrased as I read it, and I interjected, was written by Alicia Gray Painter, and it was originally published on October 27th, 2021. Now, speaking of Lost in Space, I have an update. I'm not going to play the theme right now. I play it every time I plug my contest. I'm giving away every episode ever made of Lost in Space on DVD. Can you still play DVDs? I hope you can. I can, but I could provide, as an extra bonus, a portable DVD player. But all 83 episodes in the unaired pilot will be yours. It's not on Blu-ray, it's on DVD, but that's okay. If you answer this one trivia question, I've made it where it's not hard. You just have to know the show or know someone that knows the show. This really isn't something you can Google. It's something that I've mentioned in the Podblast before. I haven't done one about Lost in Space yet. I've been saving that topic for the future. But the question is this. There is an episode of Lost in Space, and I'll give you a hint. It was before Star Trek. Okay, that's a hint. That can help you narrow it down. But there's a key scene. It's a great scene in which there's a discussion between John Robinson, played by Guy Williams, and Don West, Major Don West, the pilot of the Jupiter 2, played by Mark Goddard. And they're talking about starships and hyperspace, which George Lucas borrowed the concept for the Millennium Falcon, hyperspace and the hyperdrive. They're talking about starships going across the universe with a hyperdrive and hyperspace in this scene. And it's a really cool scene that hopefully in the future, humans on Earth will, like the Elon Musks of the next generations, will be able to make a reality where we can have starflight across the universe in the blink of an eye. I mean, look at all the other advancements that shows like Star Trek have inspired in technology, like the communicator, cell phone. That's another topic for another time. But if you want every episode, just tell me the title of the episode of Lost in Space that had that scene where John is talking about starships, and God, we could have starships that go to the furthest regions of the galaxy, the universe. It's just a cool scene that talks about what could happen in the future. I thought it was awesome. So I'll give you every episode of Lost in Space on DVD if you can tell me that episode title correctly. And so far, and people have guessed incorrectly. No one's nailed it, but I'm going to stay firm to that question until someone gets it right. Also, I want to shout out to all who voted for the Nostalgic Podblast in Podcast Magazine's Hot 50 Countdown. You can vote every day. There's a slot for 3 podcasts, your favorite podcasts that you like to listen to, and it's absolutely free. And you just pick the 3 that you like best. And if you include me, I'd be very grateful. It'd be much appreciated. And last time I checked, I was in the top 10. So that's pretty cool. And you just go to podcastmagazine.com, Hot 50 Countdown. Click that, and you see where you can vote. It's absolutely free. You can pick your best 3 podcasts. Now, finally, it's time for the nostalgic treat of the week. And this week, it's Bugles. And I'm going to play a commercial from 1965 as I eat a Bugle. These were discontinued for a while, but they've been brought back. And I'll talk about that in a second. Forgive me, I should have had this clip pulled up right away. But Bugles, they're little snacks that taste like popcorn, and I like them a lot. Let's see if I can find that commercial. Here it is. This is from 1965.
some Bugles.
Better on potato chips.
Bugles, crunchiest snack ever. Bugles are French fries. Bugles make you swing.
Bugles. I was
Customize
snacking
and
on one
with
as
Liberty
I
Mutual.
played that clip. I got hit with an ad. I'm going to eat one right now. They're good. Nice and fresh. I found this at Publix grocery store. I live near a super Publix, and Publix is in Florida and the state of Georgia. They're not nationwide, but check your grocery store. And, of course, you can find anything on Amazon.you-know-what. Well, I hate to give them a I don't know why. They have everything. I shouldn't say that because they have everything. I just don't like brick and mortar stores going out of business. It's a shame seeing mom and pop stores go under. But you got to admit, Amazon, they have everything you need. But Bugles, I've been snacking on them watching the World Series 2021. That's why I bought those. And I ate some healthy stuff. Not that anyone gives a crap. But Bugles were developed by a food engineer, Vern E. Weiss of Plymouth, Minnesota. And Bugles were test marketed in 1965 and introduced nationally in early 1966 as one of several new General Mills snacks, including flower-shaped daisies, wheel-shaped pizza spins, tube-shaped whistles, cheddar cheese-flavored buttons, and bow-shaped popcorn-flavored bows, all of which were discontinued in the 1970s. Oh, shoot. There. From the time of their creation in the 1960s, General Mills Bugles were manufactured at a plant in West Chicago, Illinois, until that plant's closure in 2017. Bugles and the other snacks were also produced in Lancaster, Ohio, starting in 1981. It is now a Ralston food plant part of ConAgra, the ConAgra company. Con Air. I thought of that movie for a second there. Having a flashback. All right. Bugles were discontinued for years and years, but they were brought back in 2016. Like I said, Publix grocery store chain. That's the place I found them. I think they're in Kroger, too. Or you can find them online. Now, another clip for the nostalgic toy of the week. This was kind of a toy for boys, but some girls had this, too. And it was a toy that competed for speed. And let me play this. It was a Huffy toy that Huffy manufactured.
This is the Green Machine.
Green Machine.
8, 9, 10 years old enough for Green Machine. A racer for guys who like a ride that's really fast. 6 shift controls, swivel action rear wheels, twist, turn, and spin like wild.
Green Machine.
What a ride! Green Machine with 6 shift steering, some assembly required. Green Machine by Marks.
Yeah, and it competed with the big wheel. It left that big wheel in the dust too. And it had this little gear that you would shift. And you pretend like you were shifting gears. And the nimble Green Machine's rear wheel swivel action design ran circles around the lumbering, clunky big wheel. And now it's time for our game. Shall we play a game? Taglines. And this was intended for the Halloween edition, but since I ran out of time, we're going to talk about candy, as I talked about, and some chewing gum, taglines, and advertising slogans. So I'll name the slogan or the tagline, and you think of the product. And I'll pause for a moment while you think about it. Some of these are really easy. I'd like to start easy and then get a little more difficult as it goes along. So here's one that's really simple. Taste the rainbow. That's Skittles. I don't need to pause that much for that one because that's a no-brainer. Here's one's a little more difficult. Here's the tagline. Makes mouths happy. Let's see if anyone's commenting. Makes mouths happy. That's Skittles. No, I'm kidding. That's Twizzlers. Make mouths happy. I was just kidding. No, I made a mistake is what I did. Twizzlers. Make mouths happy. Number 3. Tagline. Isn't life juicy? Isn't life juicy? I mentioned this is candy and gum, but it's not juicy fruit. No, it's Starburst. Remember those commercials when we were kids, if you're in Generation X? And even if you're older in Generation X, you watched TV then when we were kids, where someone would eat a Starburst and they would literally like levitate into you'd see all these fruits going above their head, levitating in the air. It was kind of cool. Like they got bursted. Kind of like the Podblast. So I blast you with all sorts of nostalgic nonsense. Number 4 of the taglines for candy, not chocolate. Keep in mind, we did that last time. These are not chocolate candy bars. This is just general candy and gum. Here's the tagline. If he kissed you once, will he kiss you again? That's one of the taglines for this product. There was another one that will definitely give it away. If he kissed you once, will he kiss you again? The other tagline was, there are two mints in one. That's certs, which were discontinued in 2018 because of the cottonseed oil in them. It sucks. I loved certs, man. I like the fruit ones and I like the peppermint ones, and you can't find them anymore. Didn't like the cinnamon flavored certs, but with Retsin. And it's, like I said, the cottonseed oil and the Retsin, but they were around since the 50s, so what gives? Tagline. It cleans your teeth while it cleans your breath. That's Dentine gum. Kind of an easy one. And what about 4 out of 5 dentists recommend Dentine gum? What, the other dentist just wants you to chew like Big League Chew so you get cavities and hire him to fix your face. That was the other one, the 5th one that didn't recommend Dentine. Just, they wanted you to just go for the sugar, I guess. And by the way, speaking of dentistry, and I mean no offense by this, I'm just a critical thinker. I always think outside the box. Let's think about when you get x-rays. Now, when you get x-rays, when you get your checkup every 6 months, they typically want you to do it once a year. And what do? The dental hygienist will put lead shielding around your heart and guts, but no protection at all for your head and brain, where it's zapping. What's up with that? I mean, there is such a thing as brain cancer, and that's the area they're zapping. I don't understand that. Why would they there might be a reason. There's probably a medical reason. Maybe I'm just being paranoid, but it just doesn't make sense to me and never has. And so I'll just get x-rays every couple of years. I'll say, can we skip it this time? I try not to do that, man. I don't trust two things when it comes to rays. I don't trust microwaving food. I never have. I don't trust tap water. I've been drinking bottled water since 1997. I don't drink tap water. I think there's additives that are not good. And you get your fluoride. Now, spring water doesn't have fluoride in it, right? And for a while, in the late 90s, I worked for Crystal Springs Bottled Water Company when it was owned by Suntory, and they produced something called kids water where they would add fluoride to the water. But really, when you brush at night or after you eat, you should brush after every meal. When you're rinsing, what are you rinsing with? Tap water. You're not swallowing it, but you're getting your fluoride that way, right? I'm no dentist. I'm just saying, am I wrong? I mean, someone in the dentistry profession, if you're out there, let me know. I really am skeptical of microwaves and x-rays. I just am. But getting back to the game, here's another tagline, number 6. This is so simple. How many licks does it take to get to the center of a blank? Otherwise, I'd say the name of the product. How many licks does it take to get to the center of a... That's Tootsie Pop. Yeah, it's easy. Number 7. This one's a little bit more difficult. Tagline. Do you eat the red ones last? You're not going to get it. Smarties. Remember Smarties? They're like sweet tarts. But no, I eat the red ones first. That's my favorite. I love the cherry ones. Those are my favorite. And when I heard this tagline, it reminded me of Red Hots. And I didn't even mention Red Hots or Jawbreakers, but I used to like Red Hots when I was a kid. Anyway, moving on to number 8 in my taglines. And what do I have? I have 11 of them here. Yeah, here's 11. Here's number 8 of 11. Here's the tagline. Put a blank blank in your mouth and get a bang out of life. Again, put a blank blank, that's the product, obviously. Put a blank blank in your mouth and get a bang out of life. I'll pause for a second while you think about that one. Tic Tacs. Put a Tic Tac in your mouth and get a bang out of life. I don't even remember that tagline, but it's true. Okay, here's another tagline, number 9. I love my blank and blank. Obviously, it's the name of the product there. I love my blank and blank. That's good and plenty. I love my good and plenty. Number 10, the Fresh Maker. Mentos. That one's kind of easy. And the final one, number 11, here's the tagline. Nobody's all one way. Nobody's all one way. Sweet tarts. I love the giant sweet tarts, like the hard candy ones before they made the chewy ones, but I like the chewy ones too, which were like cherry and grape. But I like the hard sweet tart giant where you had cherry, lemon, and grape in the one pack. I mean, it's pure sugar. It's terrible for you. You'll get diabetes. I know better, but this is from a child's mind's eye I'm speaking of course. But I love those giant sweet tarts. I used to love to go to Magic Market convenience store or 7-Eleven, but really Magic Market growing up in the Atlanta, Georgia metropolitan area. They had all the rare candies, and you paid more the price. That's why it's a convenience store. You're paying for convenience, right? Just like at Quick Trip. Quick Trip's in several states, so I can talk about them briefly, and I like Quick Trip. They have like zero bars there. They have candies you can't find, but they only have like the giant size zero bar. But Quick Trip used to have like a buy one get one free BOGO thing, and I haven't seen that in a while. They haven't done that in a while. I'm not a huge candy eater. Like I said, I try to eat healthily. You wouldn't know that for all the unhealthy foods I talk about, like snacking on Bugles here and talking about Po Folks and Folks Southern Kitchen and fried food. But I do eat well. And I don't eat a whole lot of candy, but man, I love that. And another shout out to a classic candy I liked was Tangy Taffy, which I don't think exists anymore. I love Tangy Taffy, and man, did it damage my braces. Now, if you're in England, braces are metal tracks that an orthodontist puts on your teeth temporarily to straighten your teeth. But I love Tangy Taffy. Now, Laffy Taffy is kind of similar, and they have like jokes on the wrapper, but they pretty much taste the same. It's probably the same formula. They just changed the name. But I liked Tangy Taffy growing up. That was my favorite. A place called Werner and Roberts in East Cobb County. At Park Air Mall, they had a lot of great candy there. And I love Jolly Ranchers, like the candy apple. Anyway, I'm going down Candyland Lane here, but we just came off of Halloween, so that's okay, right? Now, finally, we're going to wrap up the show here with some more comedy talk, and I just have one classic comedian. This wasn't really a stand-up comedian, but he's one that you love and know from so many classic comedy movies, and he's been gone a long time. He's been gone for almost 40 years. He's been gone since 1982. I'm going to play a clip to reveal who we're talking about, but I'm sure most of you, our audience here at the Nostalgic Podblast, my audience, is very educated, very smart. So you've probably figured this out, and you've probably figured out every single one of those taglines a moment ago. But let me play this clip from a classic movie from a director I mentioned earlier today in this very show. That's another hint. Let me play this here. Oh, I got to get that song off of here. God bless America. I forgot about that song. Here we go.
Well, you must know.
Eric was just leaving.
Oh, no, I wasn't.
Well, I could make you leave if you asked me.
Pluto! Hey, I think you know everybody here.
Fred, really, can't you?
Oh, no, don't worry. Just keep your hands and feet away from his mouth.
Don't you have any respect for yourself?
This is absolutely gross. That boy is a P-I-G pig.
See if you can guess what I am now. I'm a zit. Get it? All right, you bastard. Let's go right here.
John Belushi. Who could forget Animal House? What an awesome comedy. And I have some rare footage I want to play of his Saturday Night Live screen test. But John Belushi, he was born back on Monday, January 24th, 1949, in a suburb of Chicago, Illinois. And he was born John Adam Belushi. let me play. I'm going to go ahead and play that screen test, I think. I think it's interesting as I wrap up today's Podblast. Man, if I went on, if there was no World Series game when I was trying to do this on Halloween 2021, this probably would have gone damn 6 hours. No, it would have gone 7. I prepared too much stuff. So thank goodness I broke it into 2 sections. But here's some of his screen tests. Some of this is visual. I may shuttle search through this because he does an eyebrow bit. So that won't translate to audio for fistfulradio.com or even
Dave, you
YouTube.
ready?
God dang it.
Okay.
Hang on, it's very loud.
Okay? Am I ready? Dave, you ready?
All right, this is about 3 minutes long. I'm gonna sort of edit this as I'm live here, but this is his original John Belushi's Saturday Night Live screen test from 1975.
Okay, all right.
He's in front of a green screen.
Okay, I'm gonna do some loosening up exercises. Take to the right. Okay, take to the left. A double take to the right. And a double take to the left. Okay, let's work on the eyebrows. Now, ready? Right eyebrow, up, down, and start. Okay, left, up, down, up, down, up, down. Okay, up, down. Fine, good. All right? Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Saturday Night Show. The show is live. The show is not on tape. So all the mistakes that you... all the mistakes happening on this show are real. We don't plan anything, because everything is real.
Blowing his nose.
Okay, Wally? All right. With tape, we have the advantage of editing some things that don't work. With live television, anything goes on that you want on. Okay. How about some Brando?
Oh. For God's sakes, Charlie. Don't you remember that night in the garden you came down, you said, kid, it ain't your night? Night. Oh, Charlie. It was you, Charlie. It was you. You was my brother, Charlie. You should have taken care of me or something. I could have been somebody. I could have been a contender.
How about Godfather?
Go ahead.
Okay. This is how Marlon Brando did his screen test for The Godfather.
Oh! Killer angle.
John, don't do that again.
He's blowing up his cheeks.
I want to thank you for inviting me to the meeting. The Tagline family from Brooklyn. Believe me. But I want this to be known. If anything could happen to my son, say he has to have an unfortunate accident, like if he was to be hanged in a cell, I'm all some of the people in this room responsible.
Okay.
You want to do Steiger quickly?
Yeah.
Teddy, what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
That's what I ask myself every week.
Talk to me that way!
That's kind of visual, but I like hearing that the audio quality is pretty good on that clip, and it's still pretty funny. I love his impression of Marlon Brando there. And I have a very brief interview with him, and rare. He seldom did interviews. But here's one from 1977 I want to play, and then I will wrap with just some facts about John Belushi. But this is the last clip of the show here. Let's see if I can get it for you now. And thanks for being here, by the way. The Nostalgic Podblast, Facebook, YouTube channel. Thanks for being a part of it. And fistfulofradio.com. Check the schedule on the website. We have a lot of different programs, and very happy to be there as well.
This is Michael O'Donoghue, who joins us right now. He's one of the writers for Saturday Night, NBC Saturday Night. He's awake, too.
I'm sure I'm late. I was having a shower with Stanley Siegel.
Yeah,
And,
how is he in the
fine.
shower?
It was fine. It was nice. He got a little microphone on a rope.
So the rope did
yeah,
my
exactly.
way, maybe?
Yeah, and you could sing. It was nice. I enjoyed it.
Michael wrote the Star Trek parody we did on our show.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was nice. And
Responded
great,
to that. He wrote the Claudine Longet piece. Yeah.
Not around today.
And,
She's in the can now. She's okay.
He wrote a lot of the brilliant things on the show. Of course, with all the other writers like Alan Zweibel and some of the other ones I forgot. But he wrote the Weatherman piece that I did, and I just stole his style and wrote
Sometimes acts on the program.
it. And he's
occasionally.
Mr. Mike does that.
I try to act. I never quite get it together, you know?
That's true,
never
Michael.
Quite the
That's very
looseness that I have in the dressing room.
The
but-
Uncle Remus was funny you did.
Yeah, it was cute.
Yeah,
it was
that
nice.
That was good. I thought that was very funny, Uncle Remus. How does the show work? You got to do 3 a month. Is that correct?
We do 26 a year. We don't know when they come, really.
So, I mean, you
we
show
have
up
one
like on a
next week?
Tuesday morning, and you got to have it ready by Saturday night.
That's
Rather
because
than Sunday.
Yeah, that's because it goes on the air
Saturday night's the time to have it ready.
Well, we
Yeah,
go in
it's a real
for
firm deadline.
It's
you know.
firm.
It's not. I'm used to-
11:30, you should be there.
I'm used to printing where you can say, listen, I have a draft of it. All I have to do is retype it up. I have it on your desk on Monday. And then that means you can really get it to them on Wednesday and they can call the printer. But you can't do it. It really goes on 11:30. Your show's on the air.
We
So
go.
you're
Yeah, we
prepared
don't
for
have.
that.
We don't. Sometimes we don't know who the host is. We start on Monday, and we just the writers get together. I'm now a writer with Dan Aykroyd, and
I want to have Dan and Jane and Lorraine and Lauren at some point come by too.
forget it.
No, they won't show up. They're off.
No, they don't like you. They want me to tell you.
Oh, well, that's fair enough.
We start on Monday, right, Michael? And we like
talking to me.
I'm
sorry.
talking to you, man. Nobody
We
else.
don't, there's no plan for
There's
it,
no plan.
actually.
No plan. We don't.
We have a various
We actually don't know
points,
what we
bases that we have to touch throughout the week, but really,
We write all night sometimes, you know, and just go until we drop
it's incredible.
or die. We've lost it.
Incredible.
Have you had those just fall in their tracks in the creative process? Just fall by the wayside? Just throw them on the elevator and down
Chevy, what do you think happened to him? He just died one day.
Oh yeah, it's just good PR that he's got his own show there on the
Just
West
died.
Coast.
Oh, he's
clutched
got a
his
great
heart
show. That's what lost
forward,
it.
knocked his coffee over, and it's just gone, just like that. It was very sad.
No, you lose them. I mean, we just go until we're done. Like, we'll stay up till 5, 6 all night. We have Aykroyd and I have a bed in our vault where we work.
Sleep in a vault?
Well, there are no windows or anything, you know. It's a little L-shaped thing. Dad, Michael won't even come in. He's afraid.
It's foxhole writing. It's like it's Ernie Pyle stuff that we do.
Yeah, I
It's bringing
And
the
also-
macho back to
I see
comedy
what you're
writing.
doing.
You know,
Being
it all
live-
should belong to the Marine Corps.
You also, I think you.
That's why I wear this jacket that says Maverick. You know what I mean?
Michael.
The thing that I like about the show is that sometimes you bomb. I mean,
Yeah.
it happens, and it's not slick. See, I think slickness is a big enemy of television.
That's because
try to get it right, to do 50 takes. I like the fact that it's happening like that.
It's
And I think the audience
under-rehearsed.
identifies with that.
Excuse me, I'm talking. one second.
Under-rehearsed?
Yeah, it's under-rehearsed because, plus when the writing's done so fast, you don't have some jerk producer. Not Lauren Michaels, who's the best producer in television. Besides your producer and your producer.
Well, Gary Hoffman. Let's not forget Gary Hoffman.
Save it for the Friars Club.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry.
Gary Hoffman's a terrific
But I mean,
he produces shows magically.
You
we don't
write
have guests, and we still do shows.
Right, we write them so fast, it doesn't have a chance to get rewritten and rewritten and rewritten. And the original intention of the writer is let's put on the show.
It's not overthought. You know, it's not,
Overthought.
a committee doesn't come in and say, "Oh, we can't say that. Oh, I think we
come
should
on.
fudge
You
that."
can't say.
How about the use
like that?
How about the use of intoxicants to aid the creative process?
Yeah, how about that?
Like marijuana.
There's a lot of use of marijuana. I'm going to level with you right
Yeah.
now. A lot of use of marijuana to aid the creative process, and by God, it works too.
And how the? Well, I think it's. You know, why talk around it like that? Because I think that, you know, I was talking the other night to somebody. I guess I really can't quote them in context, and they said Jack Benny, George Burns, before going on the Tonight Show, big hit of scotch.
Really? Suck it right back, yeah,
Took it right
sure.
down, just
Right.
before going out, you know? So whatever works for people, if you're creative people, if it's coming to you in a dream, whatever it is, as long as it's not necessarily ruining your life, right?
I think we all know talk show hosts that touch their nose a little too often.
That's right.
No.
Little,
What do you think that means? Beats me.
Or do one of these. Straighten the tie.
Yeah.
Well, no, the same question to you in terms of creative process, Steve. Do you like to take...
Just before I walk out, I take 3 Nitols. As soon as I get out there and I dream, and that's when I'm my funniest, sound asleep.
David?
I take a diet soda.
One tap.
Yeah, I take a diet soda, and that's it. I think I work best when
That's
my
Steve
mind's
Allen
clear.
on this
You work
round
out-
table.
No, serious.
That's the truth. You work
I
best
never
when your
use
mind's
anything.
clear.
That's for me. I mean, sometimes, you know what it is? I had a friend get up once, stoned out of his mind here at, there was Catch a Rising Star. Stoned out of his mind.
David
So he gets
Steinberg?
up on the stage, and he's up there 3 minutes.
Speaking?
Non sequiturs.
Yeah.
Nothing. So I went out, the balloon, you know, came off. And I said, hey, what are you supposed to do 25 minutes? He said, I'm sorry I ran over. I said, you did 3 minutes. He thought he killed the audience. They were staring at him like the RCA Victor dog. Like everyone was, he walked out the greatest set in the world.
I tell you a funny story, but there's a place in Washington called the Cellar Door.
Oh,
where
I
a lot of
played with
comedians
David
work.
Steinberg.
And there was a rock act playing the Cellar Door. They didn't have too much music there. The place closed at 2 o'clock at night. They had a gig Sunday afternoon in New York. So they decided to get really stoned and drive to New York, right?
Oh, yeah,
They
right.
got really stoned.
Right.
They get in their car, and they drove to New York at 15 miles an hour.
David Brenner.
12 hours to reach Manhattan. They had their hands on the wheel like this. It's a true story. They came in at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, had no idea what was
I'll
happening.
tell you, you know the difference you find with audiences? Now, if someone's drunk and heckles you, he's like this. Yeah, what about your mother? That's a drunk. A guy who's stoned in the audience, he just thinks he's heckling you. He sits there going...
Oh, that guy, yeah.
Funny, huh?
I used to play when I did Lemmings. I mean, these guys would be on lewds, you know, and they'd be gone, you know, and they'd sit there like, you know, and they start drinking, you know, and you'd sit there and go, start like this, you know, and then as the act went on, the guy go, ha, ha, and then the second act started, the guy's like this, and this is the front row, and then the guy throws up right in the audience, and I'm going, oh God, we lost another one. One.
That's John Belushi.
And I mean, but they take heavy drugs. I mean, there are places where they just take downs, you know, grasses, you know.
It might be good for music, but for comedians...
High
it's
boogie, that's all they
I
realize.
find it deadly.
It's not good for music. It's stupid for music.
Yeah.
Well, it's stupid
I mean,
for stupid.
an
It's
audience.
good for stupid
Yeah.
music, though.
You hear real good on music.
No.
It's good
You mean for
audio.
performing?
No, I mean
No,
for
I'm
an
talking about
audience.
for jazz artists. The best of the jazz artists really, if I may speak frankly, screwed themselves up with drugs.
Yeah.
I think that's
Charlie
true.
Parker.
Yeah, that's
Do
all
what you
right.
want. It's none of my business. But I'm talking about Charlie Parker played much better when he was in his right mind. You know?
Yeah.
Steve
Well, I
Allen.
think there's
That's
a
what I said.
process-
I keep a clear head. I have to.
When you perform.
All the time.
All right, but,
Yeah,
let me
all
just
the time.
take this thing back. Though. We began by we're talking to you essentially as a writer, right? And if you say you'll take some marijuana and it aids the creative process, is there any risk in becoming dependent on having to smoke pot to get ideas?
You mind if I smoke now? Because I can't think of an
That's
answer
it.
to
You're
that.
over. Well, you're overemphasizing this whole use of drugs. You don't perform your best on drugs, and you don't necessarily write your best on drugs. You know.
John Belushi.
You have to perform totally straight. I mean, or else your instincts aren't
Yeah.
always there.
Your timing's off. I mean, do you know what the Sistine
Your
Chapel...
pants are off even.
Yeah, right. The Sistine Chapel, if Michelangelo had been stoned, it'd be blue and red now. I mean, how can you do it? It's the same.
True,
It's
it'd be
that
the Sistine
detail.
Chapel floor.
Right.
Like mescaline, if you perform.
Now,
mescaline.
here we have a fellow in the audience with a question. I don't know where it's coming
He
from.
probably does a lot of drugs. Look
Yeah,
at that.
right.
He has a heavy beard, but
Probably
we can't
wants
put him
to
in a
sell.
category. What's your name?
What do you want to sell?
Well, meet me after the show. We'll take care of things. Bill, I was wondering, is your hair naturally curly, or do you pin curl it at night?
My hair?
Yes.
Hey, pal.
What you see is what you get. This is exactly the way it is.
It's a nice beard. You know the 60s are over.
Really?
Are you the guy I saw in line with a ponytail? Do you have a ponytail?
Hey.
I thought that was in line.
Great.
Cute.
What?
That's funny. You can grab his head either way. It goes like that.
Why don't you get a job, huh? Do something.
Wow.
No, I'm just kidding, really.
All right, listen, we're
Despise
going to
you.
take a break. We'll be back. Yeah, a picture of Michael's cat right after this.
Because that stuff is pure gold now.
Okay,
It's
just a
very
couple of reminders. David Brenner is at Westbury Music Fair with Charo. Steve Allen is at Avery Fisher Hall tomorrow night. And these guys are on television.
I'll be at Mill Run, In the Round, Pheasant.
And steel
Killed.
pier for me on
I'll be doing
Thursday.
John Belushi fiddling around the roof.
horse?
next door. And
There's a stone horse.
Right.
Into the ocean.
Michael O'Donoghue, what about some of the premises that never got on the air on Saturday night? Some of the ones that you loved that they just killed, shot down for whatever the reasons.
Boy, I just remembered a good one. Diane Cannon was on, and I had such a nice idea. It was Diane's, what shall I say, Hooters.
Hooters?
Hooters, Monstro Hooters.
Gazongas.
Yeah, there's another word. And these were docking at Lakehurst, and then they burst into flame, you know, and oh my God, they burst into flame, I don't believe it, it's horrible, people are leaping from them. A perfectly tasteful piece, and one which kind of glorified the image of American womanhood, I thought, and she didn't go for it. Franken and Davis, two writers for the show, did a thing on, who is she, what is she, what's
This is
behind this?
Judy Lick from Channel
Not
5.
right now, honey, that's
Right
my
in the
show.
middle of one of your groupies.
Excuse me, Bill, this is just business.
Oh, business?
Okay.
Okay.
Just like when
Some chicks whispering in John
Hooters
Belushi's
were
ear.
docking at Lakehurst.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a great song title.
Can we get the piano out? Maybe we could write one.
I'll have it ready for you in 5 minutes.
You know, there used to be an old song, I don't know who wrote it, but it was called There'll Be a Hot Time in Lakehurst, New Jersey when the Hindenburg lands tonight. Done in the 50s.
This is probably boring you to tears. See, I don't know. I love listening to creative people talk off the cuff. So I'll cut the clip. I promised you it wouldn't be long. I've already played 11 minutes of it. It's 14 minutes, 48 seconds long, but you can find this on YouTube, on the YouTube channel Reelin' in the Years. No G, Reelin', REELININ, the Years 66. Reelin' in the Years 66. It's pretty rare footage, and it's a nice little piece showing Steve Allen. And you heard that guy there, I called him David Steinberg by mistake, David Brenner. And sadly, he passed away on March 15th, 2014 at age 78. And I used to watch in the, mid to late 80s, he had, just for 1 year, a syndicated late-night talk show called Nightlife. And WXIA 11 Alive in Atlanta aired that. And it wasn't bad. Anyway, it was just a 30-minute talk show, and it didn't have a monologue. But rest in peace to him, David Brenner. But getting back to John Belushi as we wrap the show, John Adam Belushi was born on Monday, January 24th, 1949, in Humboldt Park in Chicago, Illinois. A born comedian, actor, and musician, a natural talent, and one of 7 original cast members of the NBC sketch comedy show Saturday Night Live. Throughout his career, John Belushi had a personal and artistic partnership with his fellow SNL star Dan Aykroyd, whom he met while they were both working at Chicago's Second City Comedy Club. We talked about SCTV earlier in today's Podblast. Born in Chicago to Albanian-American parents, John Belushi started his own comedy troupe with Tino Insana and Steve, I can't pronounce shit, Steve Bashika's called the West Compass Trio. After being discovered by Bernard Solins, he performed with the Second City and met Dan Aykroyd, Brian Doyle Murray, who we talked about today, and Harold Ramis, who also was on the original SCTV. And, of course, he was one of the stars of the classic original Ghostbusters, among other things. In 1975, John Belushi was recommended to SNL creator and showrunner Lorne Michaels by Chevy Chase. And also, the guy who was interviewing them in that clip I just played from 1977, Michael O'Donoghue, who accepted Belushi as a new cast member of the show after an audition that I played earlier tonight. He developed a series of characters on the show that reached high success, including his performances as Henry Kissinger and Ludwig van Beethoven, among others. Belushi's Albanian ancestry lent itself to his Olympia restaurant sketch, in which he sold nothing but cheeseburgers, and Pepsi, and Cheeps potato chips. After his breakout film role in National Lampoon's Animal House, released in 1978, directed by John Landis, Belushi appeared in films such as 1941, directed by Steven Spielberg, The Blues Brothers, which had Carrie Fisher in it in a small role, and Neighbors. that was his last movie, I believe. Neighbors. That was a strange movie that Dan Aykroyd was also in. He also pursued interest in music, creating with Aykroyd, Lou Marani, and others, the Blues Brothers. Paul Schaefer helped create the Blues Brothers as well, who later became the band director on Late Night with David Letterman. And of course, he was in SNL quite a bit in the classic Star Wars, Nothing But Star Wars, the skit that Bill Murray performed. That had Paul Schaefer in the background playing the piano in that classic sketch. But so Paul Schaefer was another talent behind the origin of the Blues Brothers. And of course, a movie was made in that same name. In his personal life, John Belushi struggled with heavy drug use that threatened his comedy career and his life. He was dismissed and rehired at SNL on several occasions due to his behavior. In 1982, John Belushi died from a combined drug intoxication possibly caused by Kathy Smith, who injected him with a mixture of heroin and cocaine known as a speedball at the Chateau Marmont Hotel in West Hollywood, California. He was honored after his death with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 2004. And of course, his brother's in the business, John Belushi's brother, Jim. So he died tragically on Friday, March 5th, 1982. But of course, his movies are just classics. So rest in peace to John Belushi. Now, we're going to continue on. Next Sunday, I'm going to be seeing comedian Jim Gossett, newsmakerline.com. Sunday, November 7th, at the Atlanta Comedy Theater in Norcross. You can get your tickets at newsmakerline.com. It's going to be a fun show, probably sold out. I don't know if it's sold out by now, but I'm looking forward to that very, very much. This should be a lot of fun. So I recommend that. I play some of his comedy routines that he graciously shares with me for fistfulofradio.com. And I just cannot wait to see his show. Now, let me see here. Gonna sign off now? Man, there's no way I could have done all this as one show. It would have been over 7 hours long. I need to definitely be mindful when I'm writing and researching and pulling clips of time, because nobody wants to listen to something that's 4 hours long. I want to say congratulations to the Atlanta Braves for being in the World Series. As I record this, I don't know how it's going to end up, but I don't want to jinx it like I did the last time. But I'm confident. But no matter what, the Atlanta Braves are the National League 2021 champs. They have that pennant, and I'm proud of them. They had injuries like Acuna, which would have devastated an average club, and they're not an average ball club this year in 2021. Fresh young talent was recruited, and they answered the call. So congratulations to the Atlanta Braves, and I'm enjoying this World Series 2021 very much. Go Braves! You can't stop the chop! You can't stop the chop! As in tomahawk chop. You can't stop the chop! I came up with that, and I like that. So chop on! Chop the F on, Atlanta Braves. No matter what, win, lose, or draw, I'm proud of my home team and hometown Atlanta Braves. We'll see you next time on the Nostalgic Podblast. God bless you.